What's up, everyone? I'm 796.
I'm Poncheesy,
and this is Stupid!
Poncheesy proudly presents Super Articulated. With tonight's special guest, 796 Studios. Sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's show.
Wow, what a great day, huh? Fresh from San Diego Comic-Con, baby. It's me, Poncheesy. How's it going, everybody? What's up, everybody? We got Snowcat in here, Star Marvel, Cap Lives, Toying Around, Kev the Man, the Myth, Jason S, B Rivera's in the mix, Lucky Butter, KJ Smith, and Lucky Butter in here from the beginning. Uncanny Sculpts, Mika and Anita, Captain McKay's in here, Cap Lives is in here. Whoops, I hit this. Abel Frost, Zetamon, Nico Hodge, all the homies. The international who's who of homies are in the mix right now. Sketch Toy Corner, Plethora, Not Your Cheese, Rabbit Hammer. What's up, everybody? Silver Saucer. Oh my good lord. Holy cow. Once again, fresh from, oh my god, these bubbles are humongo. What is happening? Maybe not make those speech bubbles that big. Anyway, how's everybody doing? I'm super stoked to bring you the second episode of this show. My green screen's messing up. Pardon me. Pardon my mess, baby. Pardon my mess. Anyway, super stoked to be going live once again. I'm joined by an illustrious guest today. First of all, how's everybody doing? How's everybody in the chat doing? I hope everybody had a wonderful week. I know that your news feeds were going nutty. Absolutely nutty with SDCC news. Me and my guests are going to talk a little bit about SDCC as well. Just because it was the location of an incredible union. I was going to say reunion, but it was not a reunion at all. It was just a union. Anyway, without further ado, my special guest, my friend, fellow pinoy demi-god, 796 Studios, baby. Let's give him a round of applause, baby. Let's give him a round of applause. Hello.
I'm in the mix, baby.
You're in the mix, my friend. How's it going? Oh, God. Okay, hold on.
Look at that. Love to see that.
Sorry, we're still figuring stuff out here. It's a constantly moving wheel. How are you doing? It's all good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. You know what, dude? I miss you so much.
Oh my
goodness.
It's
only been a week.
Likewise. You have no idea. How was your flight back? Let's start with base ground. How was your flight back?
I mean, outside of just the emotional roller coaster that I was going through, it was pretty easy because I left Monday early afternoon, so I got a chance to hang around the enabler house, clean up because Kevin left a nice mess for me.
Oh no.
No, I'm joking. He cleaned up, but I got to hug it out with him, say bye to his wife in the morning, and then I just kind of hung out. I had a very nice breakfast. Then I went to the airport, no delays. There was some chick next to me, hungover. That was great.
That's beautiful.
And then I waited 30 minutes for an Uber home, and then I got home, and I'm like, man, I miss my friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. It wasn't bad.
It was the exact same situation for me. I was just I just got home and I was just assaulted by tags on Instagram and Facebook. Absolutely assaulted. And I was like, man, I miss these guys, dude. Already.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it feel so I'll describe the way I felt. In the beginning, like Wednesday and Thursday. I'm like, oh man, we got mad time here. Like it's fine. And then all of a sudden Friday hits and the shit just accelerated. And then next thing I knew, I was on a plane back home.
Yeah.
Like it like started off good and then it just went by super fast.
That's exactly how I felt too. I was just telling somebody today. I met up with a local collector and YouTuber. He does like reviews and stuff. His name is Bo Art Takeover on Instagram. He bought a set of Dusties last night. It was 1 a.m. last night, and I was wheeling and dealing white Dusties, baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just messaged me. So I have like a bunch of sets already like pre-printed. I think I have like 3 waves pre-printed. So like I posted like a little story, like, hey, these are like coming soon. He heard it on the podcast because I talked about it on the podcast last night. And then he messaged me. He's like, when are these available? And I was like, oh, next week. It's whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I was all like, and then I was packing stuff up already because I hosted a giveaway in my server before I left for the con. And I was sending out the winners of that giveaway this morning. So I was like, okay, well, I'm sending out a batch tomorrow morning. If you want to purchase these, I'll send it out tomorrow too. Lo and behold, this guy lives in my area. He's a hot single living in my area, basically. And so he was like, well, let's meet up. And I was like, okay, cool. So we met up and we chopped it up or whatever. But I was telling him the whole reason I bring up this story. Great. It's something you'll learn about me very quickly. I never shut up, first of all. And
I love it, man.
I'll
Keep
tell
going.
these huge stories that have one thing to do about what we're talking about. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because I was talking to him about preview night on Wednesday. Now you guys didn't go in on Wednesday, but you arrived on Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We unfortunately could not secure tickets for preview night or
Dang.
any other day outside of Thursday and Sunday.
I mean, honestly, you could have just walked in.
Dude, I've like I've realized that. You could have walked in and you could have walked in with like, well, never mind. I'll tell you a story offline. But
Okay.
like yeah, no one was checking the shit, man. I could have
No.
just yeah.
There's a
So
million and one ways to sneak into the con.
or
There's a bunch
just
of
blatantly walk in,
Oh yeah.
Don't
Just
even have to sneak in.
yeah, you just have to have the air of confidence. It's nuts. Like we walked in with a friend of ours that didn't have a badge for those days. He didn't have his badge at all. And we were just walking in. We're all like, hey, we're all pressed. We're just getting our stuff. And then the attendant is like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Say something.
Yeah, Joe, it's so funny because like speaking of that, the first ever time that I covered anything for ACBA was at New York Comic Con Toy Fair 2016, I want to say. And they didn't mail me my badge or anything like that. So we
Uh-huh.
just had to like go in. And then also we brought my wife Rebecca to work sound for us. And Rebecca didn't have a badge or anything. She wasn't on any of our credentials or anything. It was like a last minute addition. And like me and
Mhm.
Becca are just like kind of like low key, like not bugging out. Becca more so than myself. But she was just like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, what's gonna happen? Say I don't get in. Like, say that they don't let me in. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna hang out here on the streets of New York while you guys are in this toy fair. And I'm like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But then like we were at the thing. It was me, Becca, and Boog, and the guy was all like, all right, where's your badges? And Boog's like, well, I got mine. He's got his. This is our sound girl. We got to get her one. And then he's like, I can't let you guys in without a badge. And he's all like, and Boog's like, you see this line behind us? Just let us in. And then the
Nice.
guy's all
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, just go. And then he gives us directions to the place. So it's all about the air of confidence, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
You know,
all
I'm
it
gonna
is.
I'm just gonna like not buy badges this year for next year and just go off of that. Just straight confidence. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice,
That's
baby.
true. Yo, if Machu and J-Shock can make it happen without a badge, then I mean, go right
Yeah.
ahead.
You know what? I better buy some badges.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's so funny because like when you walk up to people at the con, like it's like you check their badge, and then like but then half the time it's not even them.
Yeah, dude. I think Dom was rolling around as Vanessa Gonzalez. Shout out to
Vanessa.
Vanessa Gonzalez.
Yeah, shouts out, baby. But so the reason I bring all that up is because I was talking to my friend earlier today, and I was like, we got all of our stuff on Wednesday, and then at the end of Wednesday, we were all like, "That's what do we do for like 4 more days? Like,
Yeah.
what is left to do?" But then you like, and then like you sit down to breathe, and suddenly it's Saturday afternoon, and you're like, "What is happening?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think next year for sure, even if I just get one day, it's gotta be preview night.
Ooh.
Cause um like I actually didn't buy anything at the con myself.
Mm,
Well, Sunday, it was the last day and I was just buying stuff for like the kids.
yeah.
But Cheney was the one that was able to secure like the exclusives that I wanted. And
Yeah.
like and then it was just sold out the rest of the con. So
Well,
like, for if nothing, preview night is worth it just to secure your exclusives, you know?
that is true. It is a double-edged sword. The exclusive that you had your eye on was the nuttiest case of circumstances I've ever heard in my life. 12 allotment slots per day?
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
unheard of. Hey, I got an
and it
idea. Let's go to
and
SDCC with 12 per day.
which was bullshit because it wasn't even 12. Because I talked to the dude Thursday, and he's like, "Yeah, it's 12 per day," and I'm like, "Thursday, Saturday, alright, cool, that math's out," you know? So I'll be here Sunday first thing in the morning, and you will at least have 12. And I go there, first thing in the morning, I'm dying, like 2 hours to get in. And he's like, "Oh, no, we sold out. We sold out a couple days ago." I'm like, "Let me speak to your manager,
Yeah,
dude, because I was promised there's 12."
I was promised. Yeah, like I couldn't when you were telling that story that week about an allotment of 12, I literally couldn't believe it. That is the craziest allotment I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, dude, and, like, I don't understand why what's that number? Like, why,
What
Kit
is it?
Lau?
I want
Kit
answers.
Lau, I know you're watching this shit,
Yeah,
man,
you're
like,
out there,
dude,
kid.
you're gonna make me wanna drop this line, man. I'm never gonna drop it, but still,
That's
god
true. Yeah, don't
damn.
worry, baby. I'm not gonna let you go, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
he knows he can get away with it.
That's true.
He
Well,
knows I'm not leaving him.
I was gonna say that, like, it's crazy that like you would think that like preview night is the night you have to go, but I'm pretty confident to say that like every other night wasn't as crazy as preview night, especially this year, because this year I would say that like toys took over SDCC this year, no question. Like everybody that was getting stuff, it was for like toys. So preview night was probably the craziest night in terms of lines and all of that stuff.
Was it
Maybe
really?
maybe Thursday was even crazier because that's when like a lot of people that didn't get preview night, they go. And honestly, like by Saturday, we were able to just walk up to any line we wanted, except for maybe Mattel,
Mhm.
um, and just pick up whatever we wanted. But on Sunday morning, we just walked up to Mattel and just grabbed our stuff. It was nuts. I think like the communal like zeitgeist of just SDCC as a whole, and everybody's like, I gotta get this now, now, now. So
Yeah.
everybody is thinking like, I gotta get it early as possible. But like by the end of the show, as long as this stuff isn't sold out, then you're just able to go up. I mean, Mezco, like no, but there was never a line for Mezco the
Yeah, that is
entire
true.
weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what sold out? Oh, Raditz sold, um,
Yes.
it was sold out by the time I had a chance to go up there and get it, so I
Mm.
missed out on that, but no
Oh well.
biggie. Yeah.
Oh well, whatever. Do
Okay.
do you have the old one or no?
Yeah, I got the old one,
Ah, well, you're fine.
and I'll just get, like, a Ban Presto
That's what
Gohan
I'm
or some
saying. That's
shit.
what I'm saying. That's all it is anyway.
That's all it is.
It's just a
That's
scaled
all it is.
down fig
Yeah.
of of whatever. Yeah, there was barely anything sold out. Like I was hoping Andrew Garfield was there, SHF Andrew Garfield,
Mhm.
but like it just never showed up. And I kept on asking the same Bandai employee every single time. He happened to be there every single time. And I like the first day I was like, "You got Andrew here?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "Maybe tomorrow. Just ask me tomorrow." And I was like, "That's where you fucked up, son." And then so
Yeah.
I asked
Yeah,
him
he opened that door.
yeah. And then I asked him again and he was like, no, I guess it just didn't show up. And I was like, all right. And then every time I walked by, I was like, hello, my man. Andrew, SHF Andrew, what's up? What's the deal? He's like, didn't show up, LOL. And I was like, you motherfucker. No.
Dude, he's like talking mad shit to his employees. He's like, dude, can you believe this guy?
Yeah, get a load of this guy.
He's like fucking hard on for Andrew Garfield. God damn.
Jeez Louise.
He's directing you to like the Legends booth.
Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? Couldn't be me. What was highlight for you for SDCC?
I mean, the highlight is always going to be meeting up with homies.
Sure.
I go back and forth on the Thursday night. I think Coin Op, as crazy as it was probably the highlight because that's where, dude, everybody
Yeah.
was there, you know?
Everybody.
It was God, it was so packed, you
Yeah.
know? And I was just get bumped around, you know?
Yeah.
And then I remember taking shots vaguely, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
same
just
here.
so much fun. And it was cool to see, like, you know, us toy nerds and like this like other element that you would not expect us to be in, right?
True.
You know, like some crowded bar or something. But yeah, and then just, you know, little moments walking with the homies and like the little inside jokes and shit that we would
Mhm.
have, and like the new memes that came out of this trip. I mean, the con was cool, but that was like secondary. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
at
yeah.
times I forgot what we were there for, you
Mhm.
know? I think it was just a meetup of friends. But yeah, man, probably Coin Op
Yeah.
probably was the highlight. Yeah.
That's the same for me. It's a mixture of Coin Op and what you guys did the night before or no, the night after. Maybe. I can't remember. It's a
It's a
mixture.
blur.
Yeah, it's a mixture of me just being bad with memory and then just having about like I don't know, 20 fluid ounces of alcohol in my system that night. So I don't really quite remember what happened. I called my wife in the middle. I called my wife at like 1 a.m. or maybe like
At Coin
2.
Op?
Yeah, like we were walking to like some taco spot or whatever, like down the street. And I called my wife and apparently I just told her how drunk I was. And she was like, okay, well, I'm at work. I'm baking bread, so I gotta go. And I was like, oh yeah, it is 4 a.m. there. Whoops. So
Nice. Nice. I like that.
yeah, it's
You've received one of those 4 a.m. calls from me.
I have. You're right. You bearded
And
Bills.
now you know. Now
That's
you
it.
know, dude.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Oh my god. Yeah, that night was nuts, and the night before was pretty wild too. I like that layout, you know, only because like, they had a diner attached to that
Yeah,
bar.
the late night diner, whatever it was called. What
I've never
you had
seen
like
that
a patty
before.
melt? What you have? A meatloaf?
Bro, I had a patty melt. It was spectacular.
It looked crazy. It looked like it was just bread. I remember saying that now.
It
Now I
was
remember saying that.
it was that type of bread that'll cut the roof of your mouth.
Oh, I hate it.
But it was much needed at that time because I don't think because we streamed Toy Migos right before that, and I
Mm,
hadn't eaten anything.
it's true. Well,
So
you by osmosis, you ate a couple of tortillas, huh?
that was the night after.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. My
Yeah.
fault. My fault. My fault. Yeah, you were everywhere. You had your fingers on a lot of pies, brother.
Dude, yeah, Ernie was like you know, just being a hater and just saying, "Man, Mario was in every picture." I'm like, "That's because I was walking around everywhere, man."
You really were walking around everywhere. Oh no.
Point of the
Oh,
trip to
yeah,
like
that's true.
see people and meet people and stuff. Um, am I lagging out?
Just a touch. It's okay. That was the only time it
Okay.
ever happened. Just a little spike. Just a little spike.
Okay. I'll talk slower.
No.
I don't know if that's how it works.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works, actually.
But yeah, dude, I was walking all over, but bro, I think I hurt my foot or damaged it or something,
Yo, my
man.
foot hurt too.
It like where? Like at the arch? At the arch?
The bottom arch one day, and then the top the next day. I
Yeah,
couldn't
what is up with that, man? Is that
exercise, I guess. I don't know.
I'm not used to walking, I
It's
guess.
true.
Wow.
I like my my fitness app was blowing up like a proud father. Like, whoa, you walked 10 miles today.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah,
keep it
yeah,
up. And I was like,
yeah,
no, not after this.
yeah. My shit was blowing up too, and I was like, "Wait, Mario?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Is
yeah.
this you,
This you,
or did
huh?
someone steal this shit?"
Yeah, you crushed your goal today.
Yeah,
Think you can
pace
keep it
yourself.
up? No.
Uh,
No, no, no.
but yeah, it was man, it was too much. I think next year I'm gonna invest in like either Ultra Boost or some New Balance or just a damn wheelchair, man. Fuck it.
Yeah, let me tell you, the best investment I made for Comic Con was buying brand new fucking Skechers. Like
Really?
you can hate on like you can call them old man shoes or whatever. Skechers Airwalkers saved my ass. Like
Damn.
I can't even imagine how much worse it would have been if I was solely focused on being dripped out the entire weekend. I was thinking about getting some Air Monarchs, but they were all sold out at like
Mm.
my outlet store, at least the colorway I wanted. But the Airwalkers with the Airwick technology, my friend, is very nice.
Dude, yeah, I that's what I'm gonna do next year. I'm just gonna invest in like some old man shoes because that was the dilemma this year. My son's like, "No, you don't want to be walking around in that shit." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Why don't you literally make your son walk a mile in your shoes, and then let's see how he feels about
I should.
it. Oh man, incredible, incredible. Well, it was fantastic talking about the present. Let's rewind it, baby. Let's go into
Mhm.
the past, my friend.
Oh god.
Um, I know it's crazy. What time were you born? No.
I do know that. I was born at 6:30 AM.
Dang, 9:30 a.m. baby, right here, my friend.
Nice. Nice, cool.
Were you born? Where were you born?
I was born in Ravenswood,
Ravens.
Hospital, which is in, Chicago,
That
but
sounds
it's
crazy.
closed down now. It's an abandoned hospital.
Oh my god, that sounds haunted as hell, my friend.
It is, yeah. It's a good time.
Did have you had any like so it just closed down. There wasn't anything crazy that happened or like any fires or whatever?
No, it just closed down. I think
Oh,
they,
okay.
like, ran out of money or some shit. I don't know how
Sounds
that works.
impossible for a hospital.
Yeah.
Uh the reason I asked, did you have like any trouble with like your records transferring over or anything like that between hospitals?
Um, that's a good question. I didn't, like, talk to my new hospital and be like, "Yo, let me see my records really
Yeah,
quick." I just kind of assumed, like, it's all good,
that's
but
true. The only
dude,
It's crazy.
I might be a ghost. I don't know.
You might be. Who knows? I might be recording EVP right now. Who knows? Uh, the reason I ask is my sister-in-law, when she signed up, when she enlisted in the Air Force, um, they're all like, "Hey, we need your medical records." She broke her arm when she was a kid, and then she was
Uh,
like, "Hey, the hospital where I burned my where I broke my arm, it burned to the ground. So there's no record of this." And it was like a whole thing. So
damn.
it's crazy. Um so you were born in the United States, you're a fellow demigod, pinoy demigod like myself. Have you
Mhm.
been back home?
Dude, no, and,
Oh.
I mean, the Filipino community is already pissed with me for not, getting that Kino, and they're gonna be even more pissed to know that I've never set foot
Ooh,
on the mainland, the motherland, you
it's
know?
okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's
I think
do you,
I've had two opportunities to go back home, and I just for whatever reason, I just chickened out or something. I have no idea.
there's
I
no
don't know
shame
what
in that.
happened.
It's hot as hell there. It's
Yeah.
like it is a grueling, punishing heat there, like some ninth circle of hell shit. Like
Oh.
it's not even just hot.
Mhm.
It's first of all, it's the shock of getting off that plane and then
Oh.
just experiencing an ungodly level of heat. And it's not. It's like the air is thick. It's thick with heat and it's thick with humidity. Like
Is it worse than, like, fucking standing in line at the Tamashi booth on a
oh
fucking
yeah,
Saturday at SDCC? It is? It's worse than that?
it and it's way worse. As a matter of fact, the strength I have waiting in these lines at cons is knowing that it can never be worse than the Philippines at the peak. The hottest I have ever been in my entire life was God, I must have been like 19. I went back home that summer. My my family home is on like one of the islands. It's like in the
Mhm.
jungle everywhere or whatever. It's a port town, so it's like you do get some breeze from the ocean, but it's humid as shit there. And
Oh,
my
oh, fuck
my
that.
my grandfather has like an old ass motorcycle. Like this must have been like the fourth or fifth motorcycle ever made. The thing is heavy as hell. It's like all steel. It's the worst thing ever. I mean, it's cool, but like it's just super heavy, and it's a very hilly island. So I rode the motorcycle down to the port to use the internet, and and
Bro,
on
you're
the
really fucking selling me on this.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you gotta go. And then and like on the way up, the motorcycle stalled out. And this is before like I really knew how to ride motorcycles or whatever. So I
Oh
had to
god.
push this bitch literally up a hill. I sound like everybody's dad right now. I had to push it up a hill for a mile, and it must have been 140 degrees. I can't it felt like that much. I remember I have never felt physically closer to melting than I have at that point in my life. I remember finally getting up the hill, parking the motorcycle, and I went up to my room with my one fan, and I just laid there, and I probably physically died for about 15 minutes in front of that fan. And so whenever I'm hot here, I think of that, and I just think it can be so much worse.
Jesus God.
but the silver lining is you get acclimated to that pretty quickly. I want to say within a day or two, you just mentally the heat
Mhm.
has broken you, and you're like, it's not gonna get any better. And then you just like you enter this
Will it get
state.
worse though?
I don't know if it'll get worse. I
Okay.
mean, maybe if you push like I don't know,
2
700,
motorcycles?
yeah, 750 pounds worth of motorcycle up a hill or something like that, maybe.
Dude, but so people have family mainly, they're like, "You gotta go. You'll live like a king out there,"
You
you
will.
know?
You will live like a king. I'm not even joking.
Sweaty, you know,
Yeah,
but
a sweaty king.
and then this is like the weirdest shit. We're gonna go in the past a little bit.
I
So
love it. I love it. I love it.
like like I don't know, every like Filipino girl that I would talk to, she's like, "Oh, have you gone back there?" I'm like, "Nah." They're like, "Oh my god, you'd be like a movie star out there because your nose is sharp."
That's true. That's
I'm
very
like, "The
true.
fuck?" And then I get it.
That's very true.
Like, I'll never forget that, like, that was told to me, and that was a reason to go to the Philippines.
Yeah, man. Dude, I'm saying you want all the female attention you've ever had in your life. Literally go to Philippines, and if you want more, open your mouth and speak with that accent. They'll
With
never let you
with this
go.
dumbass Chicago accent?
Dude, I'm saying, man, like I mean, like, hey, no disrespect to our motherland, but like we know the stereotype. Like these Filipino women are like they love Americans and they love GIs, they love anything
Oh, yeah.
that can like spare them from having to be a nurse or whatever. So they just so like they just love American dudes. Um just for the chance to like to get the hell out of there, basically. And you know what? It's fine. You know, it's a living. It's whatever.
Hey, man.
It's what you got to do.
It
And honestly,
it's the hustle,
that's true. And honestly,
you
I
know?
respect it. Let's
Yeah,
not get it twisted.
I I
But like
respect.
but like yeah, if you're Filipino and then you go there and they know you're American, it's like over. They'll never leave you alone. And the only time you shouldn't talk is when you're trying to buy stuff and you're trying to haggle with people. Never ever let them
Oh,
know.
shit. Then you gotta, like, put on the thick, like, Filipino accent.
That's true. Or pretend you're mute. Uh, I was hanging out with my cousins one time there, and we were trying to buy stuff. And my cousin, his name is Boogie, and he's like, "Hey, just when we're buying stuff, just shut up. Just don't say anything, otherwise they're gonna charge us like way more." And I was like, "All right, say less. Don't even."
Yeah, that's the plan, say less.
That's very true. So like do you actually have any desire to like go back? Like all the shortcomings aside with like the heat and all that stuff, like do you want to go?
Yeah, I do.
You know, sound it.
Just no, here's the thing, man. I do, and, like, I want to, just experience, like, or just kind of like look through that lens of like, oh shit, this is like where my parents or like my mom grew up, you know,
Hmm.
and like my grandfather grew up. Like I would, like it sucks, man. Like I wish I could have gone back like when my grandparents were still alive and shit, just to like
Mm,
hear the stories, you know,
yeah.
because I think my brother got to do that, and he'd be like, oh yeah, this is where, you know, I beat your mom's ass, and this
Oof.
is where I'm, jo- I'm joking. He's never late. But you know what I mean? Like,
Disclaimer.
yeah, yeah. But like,
Disclaimer.
you know, just to kind of see, like, hear the stories like in firsthand instead of just like, okay, like me imagining it. But
True.
you know, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that flight and the
Oh,
heat.
the flight
You
is
know,
terrible. I mean,
I hate,
I'm doing a terrible job.
I mean, I hate like sitting on a, I hate sitting still. Period. I mean,
Mm,
you've met me. Like, I
I
can't.
have.
Like, yeah.
No.
So, I mean, I'd have to be drugged up pretty good, pretty heavy to get on that flight. But yeah, it's one of those things where I want to go. And I think, I don't know, man, like if I'm traveling that way, I might as well hit up like Japan and like just do a
Yeah,
world tour
for sure.
on that side of the globe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I 100% understand. That's very
Yeah.
true. I will say it's very much worth it. There's a certain sense of satisfaction like going back to like your motherland and just like you said experiencing all that stuff. I asked Nico on the last show, but did you ever watch that Aziz Ansari show Master of None?
Yes, I
Okay,
have.
so you know the episode where it's they're talking about their parents and like all the
Hmm.
what their parents had to do when they were kids and stuff in like their home in like their homeland. It really does feel like that whenever you go back home. Like a core memory I have is like I was lucky enough to go back home when my grandfather was still alive,
Mm.
and he like went into like our backyard or whatever, and we have like a jackfruit tree, and like this old like this guy couldn't have been like 80 pounds soaking wet, but this old frail man picked up this huge ass jackfruit. Have you ever seen a jackfruit? Have you eaten a
Hmm.
jackfruit? Yeah, so like for
It's
people,
aggressive.
it's crazy. So for people in chat that don't know, jackfruits are like, I don't even know, they're like 2 feet tall. The girth is like a foot wide or whatever. It's like it's the Doria's head from Dragon Ball. That's what a jackfruit is, but just
That
yellow.
is
But like and they're heavy
so
fruits.
accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I saw him like pick up that jackfruit and then go in our kitchen and then just like peel that thing, which is no small feat because on YouTube there are countless tutorials of like how to harvest fruit
Yeah.
from a jackfruit without getting shit all over your knife. And like my
Hmm.
grandpa was just in there, fucking fingers and shit in there. So and then like it was just cool just seeing like your family and like your ancestors or whatever like do
Yeah.
stuff as they do in like in their home.
Yeah. I'm also afraid, like, you know, if I go and then I'll come back and I'll realize just how much of a bitch I really am. You know what I mean?
That's also
It's
very
like, oh
true.
my, I'm fucking complaining about like how they don't give me straws at Starbucks anymore. Meanwhile, they're fucking cracking jackfruits open like with their bare hands and shit. I
Yeah.
did I I did go back to El Salvador, which is where my dad's
Oh,
from, right?
very
And I've been
nice.
there like 3 times,
Mm.
and I would imagine it would be like the same kinda like culture shock that I would experience with
Hmm.
going back to the Philippines, because that, I mean, yeah, shit is like really different over there. You know, people are just walking around with like machetes and
Hmm.
whatever.
It's crazy.
Um, but it's like a humbling experience, you know? It's like, dude,
Very.
my dad, like, I don't wanna say it escaped this shit, but,
Yeah.
like, it kinda like, from the stories that he tells, it seems that way, and then to provide this, like, very sheltered life that I have here, dude, I'm gonna beat my kids when I see them again, just to remind them, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, man," and then I need to get my ass whooped a couple times because, like, dude, I can't imagine, like, one, like, growing up, I mean, I don't know. I guess at the time, like, they were like, "Oh, this is the greatest shit," you know, we're playing with, like, glass bottles as toys and stuff, you know,
Yeah.
they're okay with it. Um, and, like, I can't imagine, like, having to do the shit that they did because I think my dad came here when he was, like, 16 or something.
Oh wow.
Dude, I couldn't go to school without my mom at 16.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, "Ma, don't leave."
No, don't go, please, please no.
Yeah, man. But no, I mean, for those reasons, I would like to, just I want to go back. I want to go at least go to the Philippines with my mom. I don't know when she's planning to go back or if she has a reason to go back,
Mhm.
But it would be cool to hear stories like in the setting,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool, like, hearing the stories and then being able to point and go, "It happened there,"
Hmm.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you
Dude,
said it. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
Alright, I was gonna say, like,
Stupid.
like you said, it's incredibly humbling. It's wild. Like, I remember when I went back when I was, 19, that was the first time I'd been back in, like, over 10 years,
Is that the
or
last time that you went?
no, I was there, like, a couple of years ago,
Oh yeah, that's right.
like,
Yeah, I remember.
literally right before the pandemic. I got back, like, I shit you not, it must have been, like, a week or 2 before the whole country was on lockdown. It was
Dude, I
crazy.
do remember that. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, there's no, there's no way. Um, what do you call it? My stepmom. She during the pandemic, she was stuck in Japan for 2.5 years. Like, she just got home.
Did you say years?
Yeah, it's crazy. She just got home. It's crazy. It's nuts.
Holy
So
shit.
I think about that a lot. I think about, like, how I just narrowly missed that window of opportunity. It was wild.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you probably would have been stuck there.
Oh yeah, there's no question. There's absolutely no question I would have been stuck there.
Just fucking get a job moving bikes up the hill and
Yeah,
shit.
well, I'm quite tenured in that. But yeah, man, like, the last time I went, I was like a teenager. I missed, like all my formative years were in the United States, you would say. And, like, going back and, like, that crazy culture shock, it was just like something I'll like never forget. And, like, back then, like, I was dating, like, my first girlfriend, and, like, I couldn't deal with, like, being away from her and stuff, and I was like,
Mm.
"Oh my god, I gotta call her." And then all that stuff. So it was like a lot of stuff happening, but, like, yeah, the culture shock was wild. And it's not as nutty, depending on where you go. So if you go to, like, the big cities like Manila or Cebu, like, it's basically
Yeah.
just America, but just hotter, and the traffic is louder. Um,
Where's your family from? What island?
so my mom is from an island called Siquijor. Um, and, like, that island is, like, widely renowned for, like, one of the last islands to openly practice witchcraft. Cool.
Holy shit.
The what do you call it? The PR friendly name of that island is the Island of Magic. But every
Oh
single
my god.
time,
That's a
every
twist.
every single time, like, my mom would, like, tell people, like, "Oh yeah, we're from Siquijor." Like, all, like, her friends are all like, "Oh, you're from there."
They start backing up and shit.
I'm like, "Oh, all right, well."
Dude, that would be that sounds like the making of like a new like horror game or some shit. Like a PC horror game.
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy horror stuff that comes out of Philippines.
Oh,
Like,
dude, yeah, like, I mean, my entire family believes in, like, the supernatural and shit like that, and
yes.
I think, like I mean, I believe, like, some of the stories, I'm like, "Oh my god, dude." Like, it's too crazy not to be true.
Well, what's the
You know?
craziest story? Let's get into it.
Um, I think the one that kinda traumatized me the most was I don't know if it was one of my aunts or something, like, my mom has 6 sisters, so
Yeah,
7 s females, like,
sounds
my
about
my
right.
poor grandfather, Jesus Christ. Um, but I think, like, they were going to sleep, one of my aunts, like, she had long hair, they all had long hair, right?
Hmm.
And she was just sleeping, and all of a sudden, she just feels a yank
Nope.
and then gets dragged off the bed.
Yo.
That's it. That's all I remember, and I'm like, fuck that."
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, and, like, I heard that story as a kid and scared the shit out of me, even though I was, like, thousands of miles away. And I kept thinking, I'm like, "Why would they lie about something like that, though?
True.
Like, it's
Why would
gotta
you
be
lie?
true."
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
gotta
correct.
be true.
It's got, and you know what? That's exactly what every single Filipino child has ever said while their parents were in the same room just making shit up. Like, every single, like, Filipino lore can just be, like, explained by just, like, some bird. in like a tree, but it's got to be something scary as shit to scare you into like coming home or something like that. Like almost every single Filipino ghost that like lives in a tree or like is in the shadows or in the bushes or something
Yeah, yeah,
is just like a well-oiled vehicle to just get your children home on time. Which,
yeah,
that's fun. That's crazy.
yeah. I guess, man.
It's wild because similarly to your story, um it's so funny. My mom subscribes to the method of if I just ignore it, it's not real. So like we
Oh, that seems like a healthy way to approach
yeah,
life.
that's very true. We have had like a lot of like spooky paranormal type situations happen, like even like in America. But like what I've learned it like throughout my entire like childhood and even like my adult life is like like scary shit will happen to like me and my mom and like my family, and my mom will just straight up ignore it or just like laugh at it, which is quite admirable, and I have adopted that as well.
Have you experienced some like crazy shit here in the States that you were like, ha ha ha, but better laugh harder at this shit?
That's true. I certainly have, my friend. I have a long history of paranormal activity
Oh my god. Do you
surrounding
think it just
myself.
follows you?
I
Does
don't
it
know
follow
about I
you?
don't want to think about that. But
Laugh it off, Pancho.
I think it was genuinely like my old house for one. We'll put a pin in that. But
Ugh,
but so the reason I bring that up is because when my mom was a kid, I remember my mom hates scary movies. She hates scary movies so much, and I never knew the reason why until I asked her when I was like a little bit older, and she said, much like your family, my mom comes from a family of 11 children. Uh
holy,
a lot, I guess they just made kids back then, man, I guess.
that's all they did.
That's true. So my mom is like the second youngest, and the youngest is my Tita Don, and he was like maybe a year or two younger than her. It was the year The Exorcist came out. They had
Oh,
all just come back from watching The Exorcist. My mom had to like leave in the middle. She couldn't like take it. She was like, "This
yeah.
is too scary for me." And of course, like every like it's like there's like a small-ish island in the Philippines. Everybody's like super super religious there. Our
Oh,
house, our house in the Philippines is across the street from the first church built like on that island. So like
oh
it is
god.
like the oldest church. I think it's like one of the oldest churches in the country as well. And it's surreal going into that church. Like we'll go into there whenever I'm back home or whatever, and it's like
Do you feel like a some sort of like weight when you walk in?
kind of not like in a scary sense, but like I feel the gravity of it all,
Mhm.
to like put it lightly. But so like framing that up, my parent, like my mom is like super religious and whatever. So like that night, her brother hid under her bed, waited till she was asleep, and
No.
started shaking that shit furiously, reaching around the top, grabbing on her and shit. And like my mom, like, dude, she jumped out of her skin. It was crazy.
Oh my god, dude.
The meanest shit
No,
I've ever heard in my life.
somebody's gonna get thrown through a wall after that.
Yeah,
Jeez, dude.
it's crazy.
Oh
Um,
my god.
but so the last thing I'll say is like the spooky stuff. So like when I was in high school, the house we lived in high school, I remember that like I wasn't it was after high school I had graduated, and like I was on like this weird sleep schedule. I would basically just be a night owl for a super long time. My mom worked third shift, and she would get home at like 7 o'clock, like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I would just stay up all night. My room was like at the very end of the house, and by the front door is like the kitchen. And I
Mhm.
remember for like a couple of weeks, I would like hear like rustling in the kitchen, but I would always like just just like explain it away in my head, like, oh, this is my mom coming home. Because like I could see like a little bit of daybreak in the window or whatever. And I was like, all right, so it's fine. Like a week into all of that, I like hear the rustling in the kitchen, and then I go into the kitchen just to like see what's going on. and like, my mom's not there, and I was like, what's going on? So like I go back into my room, and then I realize at the time it's like 5 o'clock. It's like 4, and like I had thought that like my mom had come home and then she had left, but I had asked her. She was like, no, dude, I come home every day at like 6 or 7. Like there's no way that was me.
Oh God.
And then I was like, oh well, maybe I'm just like freaking out. But it continued every single day for like on and off for like as long as I ever lived there. And like it got to the point where I was like, all right, I would hear that stuff and I would like just shut myself in my room. I was like, I don't even want to know what's going on. My mom, of course, is like, oh, it's just squirrels.
Yeah.
It's just squirrels. I was like, bro, you think squirrels are coming out from the attic and like fucking with our knives and like and spoons? Like, what's going on? Like this.
I mean, it could be. I mean, you could spin it.
Could be squirrels.
I'd rather believe it's squirrels,
Yeah,
like trying to make a home cooked meal.
That's true. Oh,
Than
also
something else.
that's absolutely right. Oh, another thing is like, I remember I was having a couple of my best friend and my girlfriend stayed the night at my house one night, and I remember I rolled over. No, my girlfriend like woke me up, and she was just all like, she was like, I'm scared or whatever. I thought I saw something. And
Oh God.
I was like, I think it's okay. It's fine. I roll over.
It's just squirrels.
It's just squirrels, baby. I roll over. So the sleeping situation was me and my girlfriend were in the bed, and then right on the floor next to the bed is my best friend. I roll over as if to look at like my best friend, and for a split second, I thought I saw something. I thought I saw like a little kid like in my room, and then I was like, "There's no way." So like I just turn over.
Oh my
And
God.
I just go to sleep. In the morning, my best friend Justin is like rubbing his face and stuff. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, did one of you guys like try and get out of bed? And I was like, no. He's like, I felt like somebody was standing on my head. Like,
Oh
did one of you
shit.
like step on my head? And I'm like, I don't think so, but I think a ghost like stood on your head for like probably a solid 30 minutes just staring at me and my girlfriend. Like,
Oh my God, dude.
it's not a lot of stuff has happened in that house. I
Where
remember
was this? Was it in where was this?
this was in Sumter, South Carolina. Nobody has ever heard of this town. It's like
All right, we're going. I'll book a flight. We're going.
It's true.
Let's go check it out.
It's pretty haunted in that town. Like I used to live in this other house that was next to like a cemetery where General Sumter was buried, I think. And it's like a crazy old cemetery, and like every Halloween we would like go there, just like kid shit or whatever. But we would like it's around that area. This area of South Carolina is like where like all those like Civil War battles took place. So like it's not very
Definitely
uncommon.
haunted.
Yeah, it's not very uncommon to like walk around in like a field or something like at night and like think you see people like out there or whatever.
Oh God.
It's too scary, too spooky. Anyway, enough about this. let's get into the meat and potatoes, baby.
Let's do it.
Let's go. So you've been part of the community for quite a while. When did you like actually like join and start and like get like seriously into like toys and stuff?
Dude, it's so funny. I was just telling my son, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be on with Poncheesy. And he's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, can you imagine? And I was thinking about it, like when I first started, a young, naive 35-year-old man. I jumped in at 2018.
Oh,
And
okay,
it was
yeah.
like it was because my brother had bought my son the SH Figure Arts Dragon Ball. I don't know, it was like a Super Saiyan Goku and a Vegeta from
Okay.
Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And he wanted a play set or a diorama, and then
Mhm.
I started getting into dios and stuff. And then because of that, I started being exposed to like ACBA, the whole crew, Bug, and everybody. And I was like, holy shit. And I just started following that. And then I started learning how to take photos and stuff. So 2018 is when I started. And I remember, I think the first time like I had any sort of interaction with you was it was like back then a pose session on
Oh
my
yeah,
story,
I do
the
remember those.
NSA. And it was
Yes.
Goku versus like some Marvel Legend Army builder or
Yeah,
something
like a
like that.
scourge dude or whatever.
Yeah, it was
I
it was a scourge.
I remember
And
that
he was like
vividly.
balancing and shit. And I'm like, I'm gonna tag Poncheesy. maybe he'll reshare, you know, that stupid
Yeah, yeah.
shit that you tell yourself, and you did, and I was like, "Oh, so cool." So, like, the fact that we're like, 1, we're friends, but, like, that we're on stream together, I'm like,
Mhm.
as as corny as it sounds, like, it's kind of like a, you know, young Mario's dream come true, young
Ooh.
thirty-five-year-old Mario's dream come
Yeah, I
true.
see it. I see it. I see it. I've been there.
Dude, it's, yeah, it's wild, and, like, I don't know, 2018 doesn't seem too far back,
It's
but, like,
5 years, isn't it? Yeah,
it's kind of a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, and that's how I started off with, like, the dios, and then,
Mhm.
um, like, I was really into the toy photography aspect, and, I mean, there's still a big part of me that wants to do both those things, right? Mainly, like, photography, because I don't know, man, that satisfaction of, like, completing a photo and then, you know, like, whatever, posting it up and getting, like, all the comments and shit, like, dude, that dopamine trip is
Yeah.
unlike anything else, man, and I
It's
miss it,
crazy.
you know, and I wanna get back into it, but I think, I don't know, now I'm just kinda chilling, hanging
True.
out on streams and talking to people and shit, you know? So
I think you know what's crazy? I think that the people that have been around that long, I feel like that has kind of become like the natural progression in the community. Like it's no longer like about the likes, and like you can argue that it was never really about the likes, which like, you know, it's always a balance act. Like of course it's never about like the likes. I'm not bugging out if I'm getting like a certain number versus not a certain number. And I think you'll agree like it's all about comments for me.
oh, yeah.
It's always about comments. I would much rather have like, you know, like 5 comments rather than like 1,000 likes or something.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I noticed early on, like, whenever I post, it was just, like, more, you know, comments, more activity, like, in that chat, which, you know, would lead to the conversations and
Yeah.
DMs and, like, "How did you do this?" or "What did you use?" Like, perfect examples, like you remember the metallic twist tie things
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
that I stole from, Nice Everything?
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out to that guy. I don't know where he is anymore, but man, that was such a genius idea, and, you know, I cheeseburgered it, whatever.
That's
Um,
okay. It's fine. It's fine.
but yeah, man, it's always been about the comments and the interaction and the DMs and, like, people sharing, you know? Like, dude, I was perfect example is, like, I was talking to Machu. I rolled out of bed one day and I showed him a picture of this 6-arm Spidey mod that I did for
Mhm.
my rope. He's like, "You gotta post that right now." I'm like, "Dude, what, at like this? This shitty ass picture? Okay." And it, like, crushed, dude, it crushed. Meanwhile, my Ghost of Kurosawa pick is, like, half of that, right?
Yeah.
So the likes, it doesn't mean a thing,
Yeah,
man,
it
you
doesn't
know?
matter. It's crazy because like we've been talking about that for a while. Like full like dedicated setups that'll take you like forever to set up aren't really the hottest thing in the world anymore. Like
No,
it's still rewarding for
it
sure
is.
to do something like that. But it's impossible to ignore that you could literally just take a picture of like something sick that's on a table, and if the subject matter itself is cool, then
Yeah,
it'll make it for sure. And I think and I see a lot of people in the community like take that in a negative way, which you know I feel like yes there are negative things about you can definitely twist it in a way to see it negatively, but like um the way that I have used social media has like completely like twisted itself into what it used to be. Like I was talking about it with my friend from Vine forever ago.
mhm,
She's like an artist, but like her and I agree that like social media now for me is less like me doing something and seeing how many people and trying to maximize the amount of people who can like it. But
mhm.
now it's like the only thing I share is stuff that I want to share with my friends, and then we'll just have the conversation from there.
Yeah,
And I think that
yeah,
that's like a great example of just like posting something cool, like your 6-arm Spidey mod. Like that's like a super sick and super cool like picture and like or just idea even. And
yeah,
like the silver lining of that is like the idea has legs. It doesn't matter that like that it's like on the table or non-polished or whatever, but like the idea itself is good. So that's where the love is coming from, is the
Yeah,
idea.
and I mean, I think that might have been a bad example, like, hand picks that just
True.
fucking crush versus
Yeah.
would probably, because yeah, that and that's what Machu said, he's like, "The idea is what people are interested in," right? But you said something earlier, it's like now you're just posting what you wanna share
Hmm.
with your friends. Dude, I like, for a while, I wanted to have, like, an Alex and Richardson type grid where it's just,
Mm,
like, dope ass, like, banger shots, and
immaculate.
then yeah, dude, his grid is like, dude, it's probably the best portfolio out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no question.
And
Absolutely
he
no question.
prides himself on doing that, like, it's intentional,
Hmm.
and, like, but I also, like, I make shit, and, like, a lot of the shit that I have is, like, on the bench, so it's like I wanna pepper in, some of those photos, but, like, now it's getting to the point where I mean, I still do shit, like, a lot
Hmm.
of people will joke around, be like, "Oh, I retired and whatever," and, like, yeah, because I don't post anything, like, the last, like, full-fledged shot that I posted was in January, which was that Ghost of Kurosawa, then
Hmm.
nothing after that, but, like, dude, I like, behind the scenes, I've been fucking like here, I'll show you something, like, I'm practicing, like, volumetric painting, like, miniature
Let's
painting,
go.
let's not get it twisted, I've crossed that line from nerd to mega nerd, right?
Yes. Incredible.
And I'm just, like, learning, I'm like, I got this Magneto that I need to paint up,
Mm,
you know? Oh, they were at the con too. I don't know if you saw the, CMON
mm-mm.
booth.
No.
Dude, their shit is so dope. Chibi Marvel characters. Um, but, like, and this is all, like, brush painted, and I'm trying to get, like,
Incredible.
crazy smooth blends and shit and learning, but I'm not gonna post this shit.
Oh,
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
know.
post it.
Maybe you should. I think like since we came up as toy photographers, we
Mhm.
feel like there's a responsibility to our audience that like everything has to be a finished immaculate shot. And I do the same thing all the time. And the only time
Yeah.
I allow myself to stray from that is like when I'll do like an album of like hand posing or on the table or whatever, and I
Mhm.
mask that in a question of like, hey, what are you guys posing or whatever. That's the only way I allow myself to
Yeah.
post something like that. But like honestly, I feel like as long as the stuff we're doing is like cool, if we think we're cool, if we think that's cool, I don't think I'm cool at all. I just want to clarify that. But like but I think like if we ourselves think like our content is cool enough for us to like, then I feel like it really shouldn't we shouldn't be like afraid to post it. Now this is advice that I can easily give to you, but I myself would never ever take it in my life.
Right. Yeah.
Because like it's just again it's too much like I don't know, pressure.
Yeah, there's this reel going around on Instagram, and I shared it with, I think, Machu, and it's the fucking gospel, man. Like, the guy is like, if you like something so much that you wanna share it with people, then that's it. Like,
Yeah.
that success right there, as artists, like, if you like it so, because and you've heard this before, there's been, like, I've built dios, and I'm like, "This is trash," and I'll smash it, and then I'll do a 2.0, and I'm like, "Okay, this is better," and then I'll post it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you think it's good enough to share with the world, then you've made it, So, but I think also, like, I haven't made anything good enough that I want like, in my eyes, that I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to share, And I don't know if that's just because, like, I've either, like, lost it, like, I've lost the fucking flair or whatever it is, or my standards are like this unreachable goal where I'm like, it needs to be this level or I'm not gonna post it, right? Like I said, I'm still doing shit, but like whatever I'm doing, like I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy with the work, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know. The excuse I'm giving myself is like, well, I'm learning. I'm still learning, But like,
True.
fuck, I've been learning for a year now,
Yeah.
and haven't posted anything. So,
I think it's definitely more than that because I struggle with that myself, honestly. I'm constantly second guessing my work and everything like that. And like I'm just worried if like it's just enough for like the people that watch my stuff. Um
mm,
and like A lot of that comes with like when I sell stuff too. Like I'm constantly just like second guessing like my pricing, second guessing if people are actually going to buy it or if it's worth it to even release it at all or something like that. Is that something you struggle with? Like when you do like your like not only like dios but like customs or even flight stands and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, actually, so, like, it's no secret, I hate making flight stands. I
Yeah, let's
hate it
go. Let's
with a
go.
fucking passion, dude. I hate it so much, dude, because it's like, bro, it takes so long
For
and it really does a number on your fingers. And once I start, like, this is all I'm doing for like
yeah.
the next like 6, 8 hours. And it's like, maybe I'll only make 4 sets, right? And like, back then I was kind of doing it to just help people out. But like, I made some for myself, obviously, right?
Hmm.
Because like I needed it. And people are like, "Oh shit, can you make me something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Like 25 bucks or whatever. And then I realized like, dude, fuck that. Like
It's
it
not
takes too
worth it.
long to make nothing. In fact, lose money on that, right?
Hmm.
But people still wanted them. And I I think it was last year. I'm like, I'm done. There are other people out there that you can get them from. Like, go hit them up, right? And freaking Jay Hernandez was still plugging them. And I'm like, and Darius too. And I'm like, oh, why?
What are
Why
you
are these
doing?
people still and Jason B. Michael still plugging them? And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my God, dude. So I'm like, you know what? I'll bring it back, but it needs to be worth it for me, right? So I'm talking to Kev. I was talking to Mike, Yoko, Prime. I'm like, dude, I I want to help people out, but I want it to be worth my time. And then
Mm.
the fucking material doubled in price
Yeah.
because of I don't know. I don't know. Like stainless steel price shot up and like shipping shot up. I'm like, dude, if I'm gonna do this, like it needs to be worth my time, you know?
Yes.
Like, because I'm neglecting the kids or neglecting like my craft. I could be learning painting or whatever, right? Like if I go like dedicate hours to this, like it has to be worth my time. So I was like, maybe I'm gonna increase the prices by this much.
Hmm.
And both Kev, Prime, everybody, Yoko, Mike, they're like, dude, you should charge this
Yeah.
much.
Way more.
Yeah, way more. Like make it worth your and I'm like, no, like again, I want to help people. They're like, you need to help yourself. It needs to be worth your time. They're like, what's the worst that could happen? People just tell you fuck off, right? And
Yeah,
people
that's true.
certainly have. There've been a lot of haters in the comments, and they're like, no, but there's an overwhelming majority of people are like, yes, whatever. I'll
Yeah.
take it. Right. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay, cool. So like at that point, like I was struggling with like pricing it because like I don't know, maybe it's not that I didn't see the value in that, is I was afraid that other people wouldn't see the same value that I see in myself and my time, right? Like,
Hmm.
dude, the good thing about money is you can always get more of it, but time, that is the one thing you can never get back. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying? And
absolutely.
that has to be worth more than anything. So but yeah, and like that's also another reason why I've never sold a diorama in my life, dude. And that's
Really?
probably crazy to hear. I
That's
just
crazy.
I don't know what I would
Charge.
yeah, I don't know what I would charge
What
because
would
like
you
for
charge?
me, it's like you're gonna pay me. I'm having fun making this shit, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't know what I'm gonna charge you because usually like and other people have my dials. Like Mike has like one of the best dials I've ever made was that
The cyberpunk one,
the
right?
one for the cyberpunk one. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm like, here you go, man. Just
Yeah,
because you're
just
my
take
friend,
it.
just take it and shit. Like Darius has got a ton of shit from me, and it's like we work out a deal, or like, here you go. Just I enjoyed building it. Fuck it, take it. Like
Yeah.
I can't have it here. And like people will say, dude, I'll buy something for you. But I think also if I were to put like a price on it, one, it would be probably overpriced. And then it would put the pressure on like, oh fuck, now I gotta deliver. And it
Yeah.
will rob the joy and the fun of making the dial. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The second that you start that the expectation is now that this is something someone is paying for, like it completely changes the mood.
Yeah.
I learned that very quickly when I did auras. Like I remember And I feel like it's exactly the same thing you went through. I started making auras for myself for just some picture I was gonna do, and then people are all like, "Well, how much would you
That's
charge
how
for
it
this?"
starts.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. Official auras are like, what are they, $22? Like, there's no way that I mean, would you pay $22 for this thing? And they're all like, yeah, yeah, I would.
I'm pretty sure I'm one of those dudes that kept bugging you for the, Kamehameha
You were, and that's why I
like
gave
nonstop.
it to you. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's why I gave it to you because like what am I ever going to charge for how would I price this out? How would I
Right.
ship it? Like how
Mhm.
would I do any of that? The headache of that is just too much for me to handle, so I just opted to just give it to you. I was like, "All right, fine,
And
here,
thank
take
you.
it." Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate that. Like, traveling back home with that thing was it was a puzzle. I was
Oh
gonna figure it
no.
out.
How'd you get it home? You just put it in your suitcase or what?
I put it yeah, I put it, like, in between, like, a bunch of, like, clothes,
Okay. That makes
and then
sense.
yeah, so it was fine. Like, fortunate it was the perfect size and it fit right in there,
Hell
you
yeah.
know?
Well, I should have
Yeah.
told you before. It's made out of Lexan. It's not actually acrylic. It's trade secret. My
Oh,
stuff
okay.
isn't made out of acrylic anymore. But like, I'm not
Nice.
gonna call it awesome Lexan auras. Like that's where and like for people that don't know, Lexan is an acrylic like material. It's just as clear as acrylic, but it's nowhere near as like fragile or brittle. Like you
Right.
could bend it in half and it wouldn't break. Like I mean,
Yeah.
if you perfectly bend it in half, it'll break
Those,
eventually.
those RC bodies are made out of Lexan.
There you go. A beautiful material. Use it all the time in the
Mhm.
sign industry. but like, but yeah, man. Like the balance between like pricing stuff and then that is like crazy. Like Nico and I talked about it as well in the last episode. But like, it's like it's a constant balance of like you know how much you want to charge for this stuff, but
Mhm.
on the other end, like it's a constant you always have that like voice in the back of your head like who the fuck am I like I'm
Right.
like am I gonna charge somebody like $75 for one aura? Like I know
Mhm.
that's how much like people are willing like that's how much some people can get away with it, but like am I that person? I don't know. And like sometimes people will say like yeah you can charge that much, but like there's no fucking way. Like I would never pay that much for something like
Dude,
that.
yeah. Well, I think you and I would never pay it because we
Because we
have the
can
mindset of like,
make
I'm gonna try and make this shit
yes
first,
exactly.
But like it only just takes one person to be like, "Yep, I'll buy it. I'll buy it at
True.
that price,"
I think
And
that's how the Dragon Ball customs scene happened. Like, oh, six
yeah.
hundred dollars for one? Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it.
And
What?
it really fucks things up for
Yeah.
everyone else.
It's crazy. It's nutty, dude. Like,
Yeah, dude.
that was like a big thing that I wanted to ask you. Like, how do you get to like your price point for stuff and what's the method there and how much do you struggle
Yeah.
with it and
I
stuff?
To sum it up, it's like because it's something that I hate like absolutely hate doing,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'd rather just be laying on the couch like binge watching some shit than or doing anything than making those goddamn fly stands. And the question was like, all right, how much would I need to like profit off of this for it to be worth it
Yeah.
for me to do this, And I mean, the margins aren't like the greatest, but like at least I'm like getting something for my
Mhm.
time. And like as shitty as that sounds, like, dude, fuck that, man. Cause like I got kids, I got like stuff I'd rather be doing. And again, it takes like what did I tell myself at least 40, 45 minutes to make a set. And that's me like fucking hauling
Yeah,
ass.
hauling ass. You said in your reel 47 minutes. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
47
and
minutes per
that was
set.
my, oh my god, the people that want this are just god, they're relentless, dude. I'll make like a batch, right? And like a batch of 10 is like it's still tough, right? But I'll try and go like a batch of 20, and they sell out pretty quick, and then people
Mhm.
will just like send like those hate messages like, "What the fuck, man? You couldn't make like 5 more or
Yeah,
like
what?
you
Excuse
can't make
me?
one more?" I'm
No,
like,
sir. Never ever.
if
I
I do
never
one more, then I gotta do and I felt like when I made that reel, I felt like people didn't know exactly thought like, "Oh shit, he's just bending coat wires and whatever," right?
it's hard
And
shit.
I'm like, "How can I like politely educate these people? Like, It
Yeah,
does. It takes a while and shit, you know? And,
that's
like, yeah, if you don't have a set in hand, like, you probably just think, "Oh, I could bend some wire myself," but, like, dude, it's I've
then do it.
yeah, I've yeah, well, one, do it, right?
Yeah.
And go ahead, like,
Yeah,
it's
try it out.
not yeah, it's not necessary. You don't need to buy my shit. You can, like, fucking use anything. You use whatever to prop up your figures, right? But, like, there was some thought into this thing. Like, I've done, like, 4 different versions of this, and, like, the placement of the bends, like, I see other people's, stands, and, like, the physics of their stands, like, I'm like, "That's not gonna support the weight, or
Mhm.
it'll topple over easily," right? Like, there's a reason why I bend them at the certain places, right? And the
Yes.
material that I use, and, like, how I kinda chamfer the edges, so it's
Mhm.
less risky to jam in your figures, like, less risk of, like, breaking shit, so it's not like I'm just, just, like, cooked it up in the kitchen when I'm like, "Ah, fuck it, I'll sell this at 100
Sure.
bucks."
Yeah.
Like, there's some thought, there's some engineering behind it
Yeah,
too,
there's some real R&D.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, that segues great into my next question. You have a certain eye for detail, Mario.
Yeah,
Uh, where does that come from your love of cinematography, you think, or is there like another root of that?
I it might be like a disorder in my brain,
Okay,
actually.
yeah, we'll go for that too.
Kinda robbed the joy. Um, okay, so, this is a good example. I was asking my son, I'm like, "Have you ever seen the movie Heat?" He's like, "Nah." I'm like, "Drop everything you're doing. You're gonna watch this movie because it is the one of the best pieces of art." And, like, I'm explaining some shit about, like, just, like, I don't know, like, the way there was this reel that me and Macho were going back and forth, like, the scene starts off, like, when the guy's at the bar, very closed off, and it's, like, it's shooting from the back, right?
Mhm.
And then, like, as they kinda warm up to each other, the camera pans to the front. I'm like, "That's fucking genius."
It's incredible.
Those little details, and people are like, "You're crazy." Like, no
You're
one
not
gives a
crazy.
shit.
It's cinematic storytelling, my friend. It's
Yeah, and,
peak.
like, dude, it's what is it? It's the small things, there's nothing bigger, right?
Mm, great
It's
quote.
all those little details that work together to make something, like, even much more spectacular than it is, right? You
Yeah,
eliminate one of
absolutely.
those little things, and all of a sudden it just loses everything, you know? So, I don't know, and I don't think that comes from, like, my, interest in cinematography. I think just, like, I don't know, it really is a disorder in my brain where I would just pick up on, like, the stupidest shit, you know? Um, like, I don't know, but it is cool when, like, you notice something from,
Mhm.
like, the artist, and they're like, "Oh my god, I'm glad you picked up on that." Right? Because
Yes,
like, no one else would.
absolutely.
And people have said that shit to me, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm glad you picked up on it." Right? So, I don't know, man. It really is, it kinda seeps into, like, maybe robbing the joy of, like, enjoying shit.
Mm,
You
I
know what I
can see
mean?
that. I can see that for sure.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, I wish this moved like that, or if it just had, maybe like 10 more degrees of articulation, it'd be like figure of the year or something like that," you know? So I'm trying to find the balance.
I can see that for sure. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. So the reason I brought up like your love for cinematography is like I think the thing you're most well known for is just like how smooth and nice all your content looks. Like
Mm.
especially like as something as throwaways like stories, not even reels, but like your stories are very well produced. Um and even like your shorts, like your Christmas tree short or like you testing out your 360 camera short and stuff. Like can you speak to more of like what really launched like your love for creating like polished content, like polished like video content and stuff like that?
Yeah. So there's 2 versions of 796. 796 in the beginning and then 796 after I studied, like, cinematography, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
And, so in the very beginning, and it kind of, like, I've always been like I remember the first time I posted a story, I got nervous to
Oh.
post my very first story. I'm like, "Oh shit, like, this is gonna be different," right? You know what I mean? Like, people might interact or whatever, and I had like 50 followers at the time, whatever.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Um, but like the story has always felt like it's different because it can build up to like a reveal.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And if you notice, like almost all my stories kind of have some sort of like build up. Either like I'm panning from like really up close on my like mat and then figures, or
Yes,
some shit, right?
absolutely.
And I don't know. I guess like throughout my entire life, people have just called me like very dramatic.
Yeah, I guess
It's
that's
the
one way to
drama
put it.
queen in me.
It's one way to
I
put
always
it
have
for
to have
sure.
like a grand entrance or some shit. Um, but then in 20 like early 2019, I took a break from 796 and then I um I found a dude, Jesse Driftwood,
Okay.
and he was doing like short story cinematic like stories.
Mhm.
Like he put like hours into making something that would disappear within 24 hours, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And the
okay.
thought of that, of like this high production thing that'll just disappear forever, like, I'm like, "Dude, the ball's on this guy," right?
That's
So I
it, the
studied his
stones,
his
baby.
craft. I really got into, not only cinematography, but short, form storytelling, and I remember I would just go everywhere with my camera. I would try out transitions, I would
Mhm.
try out different, editing techniques, and then when I finally came back to 796, I'm like, "Oh, I can incorporate the shit that I've learned," right? Um, and I think one of the biggest things is just the smoothest camera movements, right? Like that
Yes.
will really like immerse your audience, right? Because they're, everyone else is like just here's the figure, just
Mhm.
like whatever. But if I could have this this like crazy pan, and I think you might have seen me take a couple stories like in real life. It
Yeah,
looks so ridiculous. I'm like
absolutely. Yeah, I do the same shit. Absolutely.
human gimbal and shit.
Yeah, that's it.
But it helps like, provoke whatever emotion that I'm trying to, like, make you feel when you're seeing it,
Mhm.
like, "Oh, fuck, that's a badass pose," or "That's a dope, like, figure," whatever the case is. I just think it adds that little, um it's a differentiator between my stories and, like, somebody else's, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So, like, these little, like, side projects and stuff that you do, like your Mother's Day video and the Christmas tree stuff, like, what's the end game for that stuff? Did you just make that stuff for yourself and then you just happen to post it, or
Yeah, all that stuff was on my personal
your
IG account.
other 796, right?
Yeah,
Or whatever?
the Mario.g account, which is just it's fun. Like,
I love that account.
um, oh man, like oh fuck, if I'm being honest, I'll tell you the real reason
Let's
why,
go.
right? Like,
Let's
it's
go.
like, why do you go to the gym and get jacked? Oh, because a girl broke my heart. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
let's
So,
go!
I remember I didn't want to get like my ex-girlfriend's attention and shit. Like, like, hey, but I wanted to like show through stories like, oh, this motherfucker's doing good, right?
Let's go, dude.
So I like, what it like and it kind of was like it started off as satire maybe of just like
Mhm.
making fun of like
Yeah,
Instagram itself.
I
Like
could see that.
everyone's on this fucking platform and they're making their lives look so much better than it is. I'm gonna take that shit to the next level, right? Like there's a story of me getting coffee and it's like the greatest fucking adventure ever, or the
Hell
bubble
yeah.
tea one.
Yeah.
It's like but I'm just getting bubble tea, right? But
Hell
so
yeah.
that and again, I was learning something new and I was really like excited and interested. And then it kind of just took off. Like, I think the very first story that I did, oh my god, and to look at it now, it's so rough, was a Mother's Day
Mhm.
video, but it was shot with the phone, it was edited on my phone, and it was just not good. And the very last the last video I ever took was another Mother's Day one, like the
Mhm.
the COVID Mother's Day,
Yeah.
and it was kind of like a shot for shot revision, like I
Practically a
did a
shot for
2.0
shot
version of
remake.
it, and to see, like, the growth from that first video to that last one was just like, "Oh my god," I'm like, "Shit, I might actually be kinda good," you
Hell
know?
yeah, dude.
Like, it worked, and I remember I actually sent that video to Jesse Driftwood and, his other what's his name? Christoph something, and they both were like, "Oh my god, that was fucking dope." You know, I'm like, "Yeah, that's all I needed," was just the validation from these 2 people that I looked up to, but there was no end game. I wanted to, um, just have fun, and I remember, like, when I posted up that Christmas video,
Hmm.
um, and that was I think that was an idea that was a run and gun situation, like, the ideas were coming as I was taking the shots, and I was editing as I was filming,
Oh, no
right?
shit. That's
So
cool.
I'd shoot one scene, I'd throw it up on a laptop, I edit, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna need this scene or this opener for this transition," right? So it was
Hmm.
kind of it was pretty crazy, um, but when I posted that and none of these I think there was only one video that got, like, a response from my ex-girlfriend, so I guess that was the end game. But a
That's
lot of
so
people were like,
great.
"Holy shit, man, you just made my day. You really made my Christmas," or whatever. There was
Hell
so
yeah,
much, like,
dude.
positive, like I people enjoyed it, and it made them happy, and I'm like, "Fuck, this is what it's about," you know?
Hmm.
And it kinda like with the 796 shit too. It's like, this is what it's about. Like, I inspire people or make people feel good, even if it's just, like, for a brief moment, and then they forget about you later, but, I do miss making those videos, and, I said earlier in the stream, like, the satisfaction of completing, like, a toy photo is great, but dude, there is no greater feeling than finishing up an edit,
Yeah.
like a video edit, like, everything works because it's such a fucking journey from, like, the raw footage and the raw ideas you have to put it on that fucking timeline and just struggle with, like, the cuts and
Hmm.
the audio and, like, the color grading, and then because you really it's about curating emotion, right? And then when you're finally done and you hit publish, like, dude, there is no greater high than that feeling,
Hell
and
yeah.
I miss it, and I wanna get back to it.
Do you watch your shit back constantly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
me
A
too. My
and yeah,
favorite video whenever at the time, my videos were my favorite videos. Whenever they're just finished, I'll just watch it over and
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over.
and, like, people would be like, "Why are you fucking watching your shit?" I'm like, "'Cause it's
'Cause it's
fucking
dope.
good, man." I can't believe I did this,
That's
right?
true.
And, to this day, like, my kids, my daughters will be like, "Oh, I wanna," so they say it's old daddy. So
Ah,
old
what is
yeah.
this?
And dude, I was like, 20 pounds lighter back then. I was like moving around. I was on the fucking one wheel and shit. Like I was cool, you know? And they want to see that shit all the time. There's a video that I made with my daughter. Like this was before she went to school. So that's great. Like it, we just went to go get donuts. And I
Mhm.
made that video, and that shit was fucking. She loves it, you know what I mean? And that's something that she can have like forever, you
That's
know.
true. Yeah, that's very true.
So yeah, but I do. It's weird to say, but yeah, I watch my old shit, and, like, before it would inspire me, but now it kinda just, like, pisses me off or makes me upset. It's like, "Damn, man, I don't I can't imagine myself recreating anything, like, remotely this good,"
That's
you
what I'm
know?
saying. Yeah, like I think a year. No, it must have been 2 years because I was at my old place. 2 years ago, I was like doing rewatches, live rewatches of Posing and Easy, and I
Yeah.
I got to like episode like 6 or something. It was the one where I recreated that Spider-Man and Sauron figure where he says like, I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just remember watching that and not remembering how good that video was. And like in that moment, I think you could probably like see it like a little twinkle in my eye coming to terms with the fact that I can never make anything that good ever again.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit, what is going?" I remember like live, I was like, "What the fuck? This is good!" Like,
Yeah. Oh, man.
it's
It's
crazy.
yeah, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow because it's like, you made that, like. And for me, it's like I stopped, and I don't know if it was just because I ran out of ideas or I got lazy or I got into something else, right? But I
Hmm.
I always think I'm like, fuck, man, what if I kept going with it, you know?
Yeah, I get that too
Like
sometimes.
where would it be now? And I think like if I were to jump back into it, it's gonna be rough, but eventually you can get back there, you
I th-
know?
I think a lot of that is like also just in your own head as well. Cause I
Mhm.
recently, when I put out Posing and Easy 11 last or earlier this year or last year, I don't even remember. But like I remember I was exactly in that same headspace. I was like psyching myself out. Like, how can I make this like even remotely as good as like my old stuff? Like,
Mhm.
do I even like want to go through the effort of this anymore if it's like bad? And when I say like bad, it's like bad to me. And like
Right.
I am the lowest bar possible. I'm like at the same time the lowest and highest bar possible for myself because like
Yeah.
everybody's like their own worst critic, but like I truly feel that like again like we talked about earlier, like if you think it's cool, then like I think it'll do well, and I think like once you get back into that groove, you will you'll be surprised you'll be surprised like how easily and how naturally it comes back to you.
Yeah, there's this Orson Welles video going around, like this old thing, and they were asking, we're like, how were you able to achieve such thing? Like what? And he's like, ignorance. Ignorance is the only way because he grabbed a camera and he thought that he can do anything with a camera that the eye would see, right?
Mm,
But what did he say at the end? He's like, I only did that because I didn't know that there were things that were impossible with this, right? So whatever he thought up in his head, he attempted, right? And I
mhm.
think now, because like I've gone down this rabbit hole where I'm learning too much rather than doing, right?
Yeah, I'm there
And
too.
back in the day, I would say there's more value in doing than sitting there and learning and shit, right? So I've recognized that I'm just doing more like watching videos and tutorials and shit, like the painting stuff, and I'm understanding like or I'm knowing like, okay, the limitations on this. Whereas, and I compare it to like when I first started, either with the dios, painting, customs, video, I just thought, oh shit, that's a cool idea. I'm just gonna go for it and see if it looks, and like 9 times out of 10, it would not come out as I thought in my head, but I would have the starting point, you know? And now I think I'm just more crippled by like knowing so much and like I have to fit within these parameters, right?
Mm,
In order to produce like whatever the fuck content that I have in my head. So, I think it's going back to just like I don't know shit and I'm just gonna try shit,
true.
and I need to get back to that point instead of just sitting here watching tutorials day in, day out.
Yeah. I definitely struggle from that too. Like when I want to learn a new skill, I tell myself like, okay, I'll consume like, like 4 or 5 hours of tutorials and I'll just try it. But then
Mhm.
that turns into like 48 hours of tutorials
Yeah.
and like I'm just like watching and watching and watching. And I think like at the best remedy for that is to just try. Just try and like expect your first thing to be shit, I
Yeah.
guess. But like
Yeah.
that's what happened with like when I did trees. Like I tried trees for the first time I think like 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
I just kept on watching so many tutorials. I went back and I looked at your old posts
Mhm.
for your trees. I looked at like Lawless Studios trees. I looked at Vasco Toys wasn't doing trees back then. But his trees are really great too. And I looked at like all these different like methods of like making trees, and like I was just psyching myself out. And then I just remember one day at work, I was just all like, I'll just try, and it's gonna look awful, but
Right.
whatever. And then like I tried it, and it turned out fine. Like the trees turned out
Yeah.
okay, and like I just don't know.
Du Dude, it's like the mindset has to be go out there and expect to fail,
Yeah,
right? Like you have to fail in order to find success, right?
true.
Um yeah, the first time I did trees, man, oh my god. And I think I just saw pictures of trees, right? I don't think there was any tutorials. I think Lawless was doing tutorials like through his IG live.
Mm.
And, I was like, "Okay, here's a picture of it. Let me reverse engineer it in my head, and I'm just gonna fucking go for it," right? And it came out like dog shit. It looked like trash. But, like, I needed that because I like, when you try something and it doesn't work, well, then now you know what won't work,
Yeah.
right? And then you can see, like, okay, so he had posted, like I think he was doing, like, not the vertical stack anymore. He was sandwiching like 2 or 3 pieces of foam and
Hmm.
then slicing, and I'm like, "Oh, fuck. That makes sense now
Yeah.
because what I was doing before didn't work, so I'm gonna try that, and then it clicks, right? There's gonna be this aha moment, right? And I'm forever chasing that, like, "Oh, now it makes sense." Like, with this painting dude, I'll be real, I've been fucking learning how to paint this entire year, like,
Oh shit.
7 months, 8 months now, and it's not clicking, right? But I did have a little aha moment, maybe, like, a couple weeks back,
Okay.
and then I went to SDCC and I fucking lost all that
You
progress. But it's like, you gotta keep going and keep failing until it just, "Oh, I get it. That's
Yeah.
how it works," you know?
It's
So, and
funny.
not to not be afraid of it too, you know?
True. Absolutely. It's funny you bring up that like aha moment thing because like that's gonna be the focus of like my next like posing ain't easy episode is like the moment where you realize a photo is rewarding for you.
Yeah.
When was like the last time that you experienced something like that where like you're setting a shot up and then like there's just like that moment where you just saw like, all right, this is what I was seeing in my head,
Uh,
or maybe not even
well,
with photography but like anything.
um, I think those moments, r they happen when, with photography
Okay.
mostly, right? Because it's a visual thing, right? Like, you have the idea in your head, and
Hmm.
you're trying to recreate what you have in your head on camera, right? And, like, it never turns out exactly how it's gonna be in your head, but you always find something, either it's better or like, "Oh, this will work," you know what I'm saying?
True.
So, there was one, I did it last year, and I another thing I'm always hunting is inspiration and
Hmm.
motivation, right? And it's hard to come by, but you have to, like, recognize when it hits and, like, fucking ride that wave, right? I was looking at, artwork from Guways. Do you follow him?
No.
It's a digital art. It's so good, so fucking good, man,
Go
and it's
ways.
very moody, and yeah, pull his shit up. His shit is great, man,
How do you spell that?
and, I, there was there was one painting that he did. I'm like, "I wanna recreate that shit in toy photography." So
Hmm.
it's a girl sitting with, like, a dog, I think a dog or a robot dog, on a ledge, right?
Okay.
And I built the diorama, and then I framed the shot. I had, oh, fuck, what do I had this little dog here, and I'm like, "I can do it. I can create the shot," right? And it took a couple tries, uh, and I wasn't getting it, and then I remember I just changed the camera angle
Mm,
just a little bit, and I'm like, "There you go. That's it," right? And then, of course, like, it came to, like, the lighting and all that shit, right? But, that was an aha moment, and then the last picture that I took with the, um, Ghost of Kurosawa, I had that idea in my head, and that's tough because you're just going off of, like, with Gues, I had, like, actual, like, something to go off, right? They're like a tangible, like, reference photo.
mhm,
But with the Ghost of Kurosawa, it was just, I wanted a picture. I wanted you to see, like, the dude getting stabbed and, like, the pain in his eyes, like, the
mm,
emotion, and, fuck, man, I probably took, like, 100 something photos until, like, I got the look and feel right, and even after I got the photo, it didn't hit. It
mm.
didn't hit until Machu's like, "Oh, wait, I got an idea," and then like, I don't know, I think he put it through After Effects, and he had, like, a lightsaber effect,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, shit," but it was like, it was a video, so I'm like, "Fuck, I need that now," right? Because that's what's really selling it. So I had to hop on, YouTube. I had to learn how to Photoshop a lightsaber effect,
Mm,
and not only just the lightsaber effect, but, like, the ambient lighting around it to really sell it, and once I did that, I'm like, "I got it."
hell
It was
yeah.
the aha, like, this is what I had pictured in my head. So, but it's, God, it's just pushing through those, the fucking voices in your head saying, like, "This isn't exactly how you turned out how you thought it was gonna be, like, you should probably just scrap the idea,"
Mhm.
you know? Just keep on ramming that square peg into that round hole until it fucking fits, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how much our own like motivations and like thought processes online, because I'm very much the same way. Like the way I know that something is going to be like truly rewarding is when you know that there's an easier way to accomplish what you want, but you
Mhm,
still power through the difficulties of like doing it right or whatever.
mhm,
Like what do you call, so like I was doing for October last year, I did a shot of Spider-Man punching Thanos, and it's from Infinity War. It's like one of my favorite, it's like my favorite Spider-Man comic panel of all time. And I remember thinking like I could just pose these up, and then I could just like I could put the panels in the top corner digitally. But
mhm.
like I remember like shooting it and just thinking like, no, there's no way I'm going to do that. So like I shot a photo of every panel, and
Yeah,
then I put those photos in Photoshop, recreated the panel, and then cut those out, and then I printed them, cut those out, then put them on Spider-Man as like tangible panels. And like it's just that feeling of just like knowing that you could just like, it's fine the way it is, but you're just like hungry to do more. And like
right.
I did a Pennywise shot for I think like the 30th day of October or whatever. And I remember I had it set up, and like I was so tired that day, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna do something quick. My Pennywise shot, hit it with that beautiful Dutch angle, and like it's a day. It's done. It's a wrap. It's gonna be an early day. But then I was all like, well, how cool would it be if there's like trees in the background? So
Yeah,
like I dug up my trees, and I was like, well, these trees like they kind of look like they're like flowing in the wind. How do I sell this wind? And I was like, oh, I can bend these balloon strings to like be flowing. And I was like,
right.
but is that enough? No, it's not enough. How, what if I printed out pictures of the missing kids and like had it like on the ground? And I was like, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no. If it's windy, they're going to be flying in the air. So I crumpled them up, weathered them, and then like I put them on like gauge wire, like they were flowing in the wind. And I was like, all right, cool, this is it. This is like, and it's just that feeling of just like just going just one step like beyond of what you already thought was good enough. And
yeah,
like, and not only that, but like you're excited to do it. I think that's like that is the main
yeah.
thing.
I think the once you have that first, like, aha moment, it's just gonna, like, it's gonna snowball effect, right? And
Hmm.
also, having a soundboard too really, really helps. Like, Alex and Richardson is mine. Like, there's one shot, one of my favorite shots is, I had just completed a custom Tamiya motorcycle. Like,
Hmm.
it was, fuck, I forgot what it was, but I turned it into a cafe racer, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, this looks kinda cyberpunkish, like, whatever." Oh, I'll have a picture of, because I had, like, a street diorama, just, like, street, right?
Yes.
I'm like, I'll get some use out of this." So I'm like, "Oh, I'll just have Rude Boy chilling next to the bike." And I sprayed some water on, the ground, and I just put the bike and I put Rude Boy there, and they were like, it was the most bland shit ever. And I thought it was hot shit, and I sent it to Alex, and he's like, "What are you doing, man?" He was like, "This fucking cyberpunk, there's gotta be trash, there's gotta be, like, all kinds of shit, we gotta have different lighting," and I'm like, "Oh god, you're right." And, like, it's this running joke where I'm like, "I don't wanna set it up again, or I don't wanna, like," but he was 1000% right. I'm like, "You know what? I gotta do it." And then I started I you remember, like, the newspapers from, like, the NECA movie Ninja Turtles, like,
Hmm.
Ninja Rap is born or whatever, like, I
Yeah.
was crumpling those up, I have, like, all these props, and I just, like, littered the ground with trash, and then I'm like, "Oh, instead of standing next to the bike, Rude Boy has an attitude, so now he's leaning on the bike, and he's
Leaning.
got the
Yeah.
bat over there," and, like, I'm like, "This is significantly better,"
Hmm.
right? And was just from the idea of, like, you need trash on the ground, you
Yeah.
know? And I kept both pictures up there. It's a carousel, so I had, the revised shot, and then I had my initial shot just as a reminder, like, "Dude, like, take the extra step," you know? And
Hmm.
it always happens like that. I'll take the initial photo, I'm like, "Yeah, this is hot shit," and then, like, let it sit for, like, a day or maybe a couple hours, I'm like, "Oh, I could do way better," you know?
Yes. That's what
And
happens
again,
to.
and having people to say, "Your picture sucks, you should do more," definitely helps.
That's true. The same thing happened to me like during like October and stuff. The reason I mention October so much is because nowadays the only time I take a fucking picture is during October.
Oh, man.
But like during October, like I would set, dude, this year, last year, I finally found like the perfect like flow of October. It's still insane, but it's like perfect for me. Like I just start a day early. When and so like instead of staying up until like 3 a.m. grinding for today's shot, which is technically yesterday's, I'm staying
Mhm.
up till 3 a.m. So I am actually staying up and like
Oh my god.
doing whatever. But like I would set up. It was like my Spider-Man shot where it had Mofex Spider-Man and SHF Spider-Man, and then Leopardon was in the back, and they're comparing whips or whatever. But like I remember I had that set up and I was like, this is cool. And then like I had it like fully edited and for like comic panels and stuff. And I had it posted. And then I was leaving my room to get ready for work. And then I passed by it and I looked at it at a different angle on the way out the door. And I was like, all right. And then I reshot it like right there. And then it just turned out way better. So yeah, I totally feel you on just putting some time between your initial shot and then like
Mhm.
letting it marinate, and then whether it be by your own hand or a homie or two telling you this sucks ass, uh like you'll find like the inspiration. uh what do you like you'll find the inspiration for sure. You'll find like that new way of thinking. uh
Mhm.
Speaking of Rude Boy, like I would argue that's one of your like claims to fame, that head sculpt. I feel like a lot of people in the community not only have it but like sing its praises like so much. What was like what was what was a think tank like, Mario, in your head for this character? What was the inspiration? What was the process? What were the revisions? Anything like that?
Dude, it's bittersweet for
Mm.
sure. So, I think Rude Boy, they came out, was it 2020? So I had just bought a resin printer
Hmm.
and I needed something to print out. And I mean, I've always been into cyberpunk, and then I was just on, I think, CG Trader looking for shit. So I don't own that design. I didn't sculpt it. I didn't do anything. It's a one-to-one cosplay helmet, and it comes with like, fuck, man, I don't know, like 100 different pieces you have to like build this helmet, right?
Hmm.
So I oh my god, what was the program? Mesh Mixer.
Mesh mixer.
Yeah, dude, that fucking goddamn, man, that shit was rough. But I just put built it all in Mesh Mixer, and then I just uh combined it to make it
Yeah, you
one
solidified
file.
it or whatever.
Yeah, and then I had to like hollow it out and all this shit. And again, this was just a test. I just wanted to test print something, right? And my first resin printer was like the Photon S, some like super outdated thing now. Layer lines galore, right?
Hell yeah.
And um I printed it. I put it on this. I had like I don't know why I had so many like extra Mezco black suit Spider-Mans as just blank bucks. So maybe I only had two. And then I think I bought like eight later.
What?
Yeah, dude. It was yeah, like the most expensive like custom buck that you could have. But I just put it up on a story one day and it fucking blew up, man. And it became, the mascot for 796,
Mhm.
just post sessions all day. And I don't know, like as a kid growing up, like I've told you this before, like, like we grew up not having like the most money. We couldn't like afford like a ton of toys, and the toys that we could afford were like the knockoff shit. So me and my brother
Mm.
had to make our own characters, our own heroes, our own stories and shit. And Rude Boy, it just happens to be, a continuation from like my childhood, right?
Hell yeah.
So I don't know. He's like this fuck. I don't know. He's the mascot for 796, and it became popular. A lot of people wanted the shit. I'm like, I can't really fucking sell this to you because I don't own this shit, but somehow they got it. They got their hands on that stuff. And then people are making their own versions of it. And it it kind of like hit me like when Chamba drew it. When he
Oh
fucking
yeah.
drew Rude Boy. And it's my screensaver right now. Like it's my desktop background. I'm looking at it right now. Like
Oh.
I'm like, holy shit, man. Like it's the coolest. It's my favorite character, my favorite figure that I own.
Hmm.
And I wish I owned it, right? But I earlier this year I bought ZBrush, which was a
Oh,
grip, and
it
like a
was a
tablet.
lot.
Yeah, a lot. I got that perpetual license because I wanted to make my own like Rude Boy, something that I could own and
Oh, I
like
see.
freely share with people and not be afraid of like getting sued and shit. Um, we can edit that part out.
Sure, yeah, yeah, we'll go ahead.
No, but yeah, man, it's just I don't know. It's been fun. It's been like I can't imagine 796 without Rude Boy. You know,
Mm, hell yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah,
So
it's such a cool fucking design, and I
it
wish I owned it.
it really is. I mean, it's we could say it's transformative enough with the paint you throw on it and all that stuff, and you know.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, again, it was just a test print. It was just a test print. It was just
Mm.
me fucking around and just doing what I normally do, and it took off, and it kinda just stuck around, you know? It took on a life of its own. Fuck, and I'm grateful for that because, like, man, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's an incredible like just trajectory that whole thing had. It went from like you said, just being a test print to just every like the who's who, just
Yeah,
everybody
and
having
you
it.
you have one.
I do.
Yeah,
I have a couple.
yeah.
Maybe I'll learn how to paint. Maybe I'll take 7 months to learn how to paint myself. I'm so bad at painting. So if there's one skill, it's got to be painting.
Yeah. Dude, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I wanna get good at painting. Like, I can paint some shit, but I wanna get, like, Sergio Calvo levels of great of
Oh,
painting, you know?
let's
I
go.
want I want my shit to look like actual paintings, like art, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What a goal. What a goal. Yeah, I totally feel you on like just how something like blows up out of nothing. Cause like Dusties themselves were just some shit I sculpted in half an hour.
Mhm.
Like I remember sitting on my couch and I remember watching, I don't know, Cupcake Wars with my wife or some stupid shit. And like and I just remember thinking that I wanted like effects, just just smoke effects for something. And I was like, okay, well I'll try and sculpt it. And like I just sculpted it on my iPad. And then everybody's like, oh, can you make me one? And then here I am.
That's how it starts, man. "Can I have one of those? Can I have that
Yeah,
shit? Can I have
yeah.
it?"
What's going on? Can I do it? Like, what's up? Um, it's insane. It's crazy. Earlier you mentioned like modifying some of your model kits and like modifying that one model kit into a cafe racer and whatever. Um well, not whatever, that sounds dismissive. But but what
Disrespectful.
but aside from like customizing not only like stuff like dioramas, painting and stuff like that, but you're super into customizing like vehicles as well.
Yeah.
Does that come from like a previous love for cars and motorcycles and stuff, or well, explain explain,
Yeah,
Mario.
absolutely, man. I don't know when I started really digging cars. Maybe shit, maybe when I got my license, but like I remember when I was able to drive and I can afford a car, it was just like your typical fuck man, Filipino boy Civic.
Hell yeah.
And like souped it up and shit, man. Um and God, I've owned fuck, like 7 or probably like 7 cars that I've souped up and shit. I've had a
Oh wow.
handful of Civics, a couple 240SXs. I had an RX-7,
Of
and I
course.
I just loved oh, man, S2000, which was probably my favorite, car, but, like, I've, man, talk about a money pit and like a terrible hobby to have. Like that shit was just so expensive with zero returns. But it was fun to like, customize like something that you would drive and like, these performance mods really didn't fucking make a difference because you were just stuck in traffic and shit. But it was fun to personalize, you know, your car, right?
Mhm.
And when I started like getting model kits and shit like that, I'm like, oh, this is much more like cost effective just modding these things versus like an actual car. And so yeah, I think that's where uh that interest comes from. And I actually I think you know this, like I started off my career as a mechanic. Like I was fucking
Oh, no, I did
AC
not know that.
certified technician and shit. I worked on cars for a brief period of time and I realized fuck that. I don't want to do this for a living, like it sucks.
Well, what sucks
But
so much about it?
oh, like, 1, it doesn't pay well, 2, you're busting your knuckles and your back, and I didn't know this, but you have to like, I thought, like, like, when you go to a job, they're like, "Okay, cool. Here's your desk, here's a computer, and, like, whatever, do your job." Like, I thought it was gonna be like that. No. When you're a mechanic, they're like, "Oh, yeah, here's your station. You don't have tools? You have
Yeah.
to fucking buy your own tools."
Buy your own shit. Oh my
And they're
god.
expensive, and I'm like, "Uh, nah, I'm good, man. Because I would just be borrowing, like, tools and shit from people. I'm like, "Yo, can I get that wrench, dog?" So stupid. Um, but yeah, like, it's funny, I was actually just modding, fuck, I don't have it here, but one of the, so Acid Rain had just put out, like, a bare bones motorcycle,
Mhm.
and before they used to, like, 1, they would sell out, they were, like, really overpriced, and like, it would kinda hurt to, like, tear that down and mod that just because it's rare and it's overpriced, but, since then, Toys Alliance had put out just straight up motorcycles for, like, 40 bucks.
Mhm.
So I'm actually, like, breaking one down and, like, just doing a repaint. I did I did one a couple years ago. I forgot. I think I gave that to Cerebral Deep. I did a repaint of, Tetsuo's bike from Akira.
Hell yeah.
And it was fucking dope, man. So, I don't know, that's just, another thing to, like, help, like, enhance this hobby, vehicles is probably, like, the ultimate prop,
Oh,
for
yeah.
your figures.
Yeah, I'd agree. No question. Big shit for your figures, like always, the ultimate prop.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
Speaking of that, like, when dealing with vehicles for 1/12th, it gets kinda nutty. I can't even imagine 1/6th, but, you're one of the dudes in the community that really leans heavy into 1/18th. Like, do you like what are your uncandid opinions on 1/18th? Do you think it's a past, present, and future? Do you think it's the most space and cost effective way to collect? What's going on?
Dude, well, yeah, I mean, so as a dio builder, like, 118 and really any smaller, like, dude, I got 1/35th scale right here.
What?
Yeah, dude. It's amazing,
That is
right?
amazing.
Like, I this is 1/35th scale, printed out freaking spaceship.
Don't show me this. You're gonna make me want one.
Dude, look, I got a pilot in there,
No!
man.
You printed that yourself?
Yeah.
The pilot
Bro,
too?
everything. Like,
Don't
dude,
show me
it's got
this. What the
landing
don't show me
gear.
this.
It works. This is a toy, man, and I printed it.
Since
I
in one
printed it.
go?
It's a toy. It's from Teco Toys. It's amazing, man. Like, dude, like everything opens up. Like it's a functioning toy. And like again, I think the reason why I like the smaller scales is because you can do the world building stuff,
Yeah.
You can do this shit with like 112, but you'll run out of space. And again, it,
Yes.
it won't like if you want to take a photo, it's gonna be tough, man. But like with the smaller scales, like I can build like a crazy diorama, right? And they
Mhm.
can live in this world and it would take up, a fraction of what it would in 112, right? And that adds to like the playability and like the overall enjoyment with playing with toys, right? I think As much as I love 1/6 figures, right, and they look great, can't do shit with them. You can't really it's hard to take a photo with unless you're, like, on Trevor's level, like, this shit's gonna be tough,
You
you know what I
are.
mean? And, like, building like, if you wanted to build a diorama for that, it would just be like a single figure display, and again, I see that as a limit of enjoyment for these figures, right?
Mhm.
You go down in scale, dude, it opens up more possibilities, right? Suddenly, like, vehicles make
Yeah.
sense, you know? Big ass dioramas make sense, and they aren't as, like, an inconvenience. And now, like, dude, the technology, it's just like, I just picked this guy up, right? This
Mhm.
acid rain Mason figure, and, like, I think back in the day, you would like, the perception was like, "Oh, 1/18 scale, it's gonna be lesser, you know, in terms of quality of sculpt, lesser, quality of articulation," but nah, man, this thing moves like a dream, and he looks freaking rad.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy just the jump of articulation technology that 118th has gone through. A true
Mhm.
renaissance in the last like 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Cuz like whenever I think 118th, I think of like I don't know, not as bad as like Kenner,
Mhm.
but like Star Wars stuff, like the classic Star Wars 118 stuff, which even now is like outperforming a lot of their just Black Series stuff. It's
Mhm.
crazy. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
like sometimes I really just look at everything in my room and I just wonder like how much more room I would have if I just went down a
Yeah,
couple of
dude.
scales.
It, yeah, like, even the Star Wars stuff, like the TVC, I think it's better than Black Series, man.
Mm, yeah.
Like, in terms of, like, sculpt, like, some of the articulation blows out, like, the Black Series stuff, and now you can enjoy the vehicles. Like, when I think of Star Wars, I think of vehicles,
Hmm.
like the spaceships and stuff, like, there's no way you could have a 1/12 scale Ghost,
Yeah, there's
you
no way.
know? There's barely, you can barely have a 1/18 scale or a 3 3/4,
Yeah,
you know?
it's crazy. Have you seen did you see that guy that made that X-Men the
Oh my god,
Blackbird?
the Blackbird?
Yeah. Did you see
Yeah,
that? It's as tall as him.
yeah, dude, where are you gonna put that shit, man? How are you gonna enjoy that?
It's wild. Like
It's crazy.
even the Bratz car, number one figure of 2022, is
Dude, their stock went right up.
right up, baby. Even the Bratz car that's a lot. That's a lot of toy to like just do stuff with. Like mine is it's not even in my house. It's in my car. It's in the backseat of my car from when I was helping Mike film Wild XD stuff. Like it
Oh
hasn't
my
left
god.
because there's nowhere to put it. Where the hell am I
Yeah.
gonna put this thing? It's
God, that was a
crazy.
while ago.
It was a long time ago. It's been in the back of my car for quite a while. Yeah, it's insane. The space is nuts. Like especially like your setup right here. What is this space? First of all, that you're in right now. Is it a spare room? Is it a closet, a Harry Potter situation? What's happening?
This is my office, man. Like,
Okay.
I when I first moved in, it was kinda just a spare room. I honestly think it's supposed to be a walk-in closet because those doors behind me are that's a closet, but it's filled with toys. Like, actually, I think my DBZ stuff is in there, like, unboxed. Um, but I think they were selling this as, like, a walk-in closet. They're
Hmm.
like, "Yeah, you can have one." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Like, this is gonna be the fucking toy room. You know what I mean? But for a little bit, it was just like um I would take, my toy photos here. Like, I'd have a desk, like, right here, and this is where I would do the setups. I'm like, "Oh, this shit doesn't really work," or I should have, like, actually, I remember when I started getting into cinematography, I'm like,
Hmm.
"I need a dedicated, like, editing machine." So I built a PC and then I put it here. And I'm like, okay, this is where it's gonna be. This is where I'm gonna edit my shit. Like I didn't have this. I had like a smaller like shelf for like whatever figures I had.
Hmm.
And then pandemic hit and then 796 came back. and then I started hopping on the streams. I think the enablers were born. I'm like, okay, this will be like the streaming setup, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and then I moved like my like building and like taking photos to the kitchen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all your
And
stuff is in
it's
the
been
kitchen.
like that for fucking years now, and I think that might be my brand now. People are like, "Oh, he's cooking in the
Yeah,
kitchen."
dude. I'm saying that's a great brand to have. Like, I don't know if you watch like Linus Tech Tips or anything,
Yeah.
but yeah, but their shit is the kitchen. Like they built a whole other set in their new studio that's a kitchen, and like
Dude, the kitchen is the best.
it
One,
really
it's like
is.
it's open space and the lighting is perfect in the kitchen.
It
And then
really is.
you have everything right there. Like I got my sink, I got like the stove if I need it, I
So
got my dehydrator, it's all good.
it's all there. So you do your resin printing there too, or no?
Well, I kind of. I cleaned some of the prints off in the kitchen still. I used to when I had a smaller printer. Now I have the M3 Premium, which is just it's a beast, right?
Yeah,
So I
it's
had
humongous.
to yeah, I had to get rid of a couple bookshelves. I'm like, books, fuck this. I don't read.
Yeah.
I need to stop pretending to read. And that's like where my printing station is over there. But yeah, I used to print in the kitchen, but now I'll just clean the prints in the kitchen because I have two wash and cure stations,
Mhm.
and I'll use the first one, wash and cure, as just the wash, and then I'll move everything to the cure station
Mm,
that's in the living room now. So
I see, I see. Just a second ago, you mentioned enablers being born. What's that whole thing about? Because I remember, I remember one day suddenly a bunch of my homies just started talking about points, and I was like, "What is this?"
that's pretty much it, man. Uh, I it it fuck. I hopped on Kev's stream back in 2020, and we just hit it off. We were just sending each other links back and forth of like printers, right?
Mm,
FDM printers. And then Prime jumped in on that group chat, and then so did Mike. And we were just going back for and I think Kev um oh, he was trying to get us to buy that Mega X, the Anycubic Mega X. And
mm.
I think we all ended up buying it. And then he was trying to like get us to buy like fucking Ulanzi lights or some shit. And a couple of us did, and then the joke was like, "Bro, you're a fucking enabler, man. Like, I'm spending this money and shit that I didn't plan on." And it just became like just like how most of the jokes are now. They just take on a life of itself and it just snowballs into something bigger.
Mhm.
That's all it was. It was just a group of friends just trying to get each other to spend money on shit we really didn't need, or like, "Oh, I found this cool, whatever. Here's the link," right?
Mm.
And I was talking to Kevin. I'm like, it was like that Jerry Seinfeld, George Costanza moment. Like this is the show. This is
This
it.
is the show.
It's a show about nothing. I mean, it's like, well, all right, fuck it. And if you look, the very first episode of The Enablers wasn't even The Enablers. It was just like special guest 796 Prime and Mike, right?
Mm.
And I think because that show did so well, we're like, fuck it, let's roll with it. And then the next one was Enablers. And man, it just like Rude Boy, it's one of those things where it was like a test print and it fucking took off. A lot of people, because I think we all have that friend where it's like, come on, man, stop pushing the shit on me. And then you're like, fuck, all right, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Or you have that one friend that's just constantly buying shit. You're like, bro, I don't know if you should be buying all this stuff. It's relatable.
Yeah.
And a lot of shenanigans. And goddamn, it's crazy to think that the enablers have been running for fuck almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. You guys
Yeah.
met up in Canada, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the first time we met was in Decon in
Oh,
Anaheim, right?
okay.
And then we actually ended up picking up some more enablers there. Yoko, Kyle, and Fred
Mm.
joined see, we call them season 2 cast.
Season 2.
Um, and then, like, every year now we plan a meetup.
Mhm,
Last year was Toronto Fan Expo, which was freaking dope. And then we got a chance to meet like the Toronto or the Canada like fan base, right? Like
mhm.
Torensu, Bearded Builds, who's the homie. Um, and then this year obviously was SDCC, you
Hell
know.
yeah.
And God, man, it's a trip. It's a trip to fuck around with these guys like every first Thursday of the month and then like meet up in
Mhm.
person and shit. And it's just it's wild, dude. Um it's so stupid, man.
It's
Bunch of shenanigans.
yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy to think, especially in this community, like that. Just the simple action of like just getting together, just seeing if a couple of dudes are free for a stream will eventually snowball into everybody meeting each other at
Mhm.
San Diego Comic Con, which is literally what happened with like the ACBA podcast. Because like for we say it all the time on the show. The reason it is literally me, Rick, Bug, and Fabio is because we are the only losers that were free. Like on a Friday night, like consistently, we were the only guys that were free, and like we eventually just did it so long that became like the core cast, and then like and then then we're meeting each other for the first time in like SDCC like
Was
a
that
week ago.
no, you've met Boog before,
So
right?
I've met Bug, but like
Right.
I've never met Fabio or Rick ever in my entire life. Up
That's
until
wild. That's wild to hear, man. It's crazy to think that I've met you and then I've met Fabio before you guys even met each other.
very yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is wild. It is wild. Yeah, and we met when you came and visited Mike here.
Dream come true, baby.
An
Fucking
absolute
dream
dream
come
come
true.
true. Hell yeah, dude. What so like you and Mike have a crazy good chemistry together. It really can't like you obviously see it on like the enabler streams and whenever you guys stream together on stuff, but it really came to a head whenever you guys met up in Toronto. And
Mhm.
then when Kev put out that episode of Hunting Around and seeing you two interact, like the bit where you like slam into each other going through the door, the funniest shit I had ever seen. It's so fun. Your chemistry is so wild. Like, um, it's like very obvious that you guys have not, I wouldn't say necessarily like a stronger bond than anybody else, but you guys definitely are like cut from the same cloth and a lot of stuff in terms of like the work you put out. Like you guys do like the build and stuff. So like how did you and like Mike like meet and how was that how did that friendship blossom?
Oh my god. We met actually he he slid into my DMs like crazy, dude. He was oh my god. I love you, Mike. Wherever you are, baby. I love you,
That's
man.
right. Rest in peace, buddy.
I remember this like oh my god, like it's gonna sound terrible. Um, but we all get like those DMs where like, all right, man, this might be a little too much. Like I appreciate it at first, and you're like, all right. But he kept on like just just showering me with compliments and shit. And he
Oh
said,
yeah.
he's like, is there anything you can't do? And I like as a joke, I'm like, I don't sing or dance,
That's
right? And
incredible.
that's where it came from. Um, and then he was on Kev's channel, and then we were just talking. We were just like throwing ideas back and forth, and that's really where the friendship started. Just like he was like asking me like how I did. Oh fuck, I remember what it was. He would do these live streams, right?
Hmm.
And he had like 1 inch copper tubing, and he was using that to like bore out the holes for the magnets on diodes, right? And I'm
Oh.
like, that's when I started paying attention to Mike. I'm like, oh fuck, that's a good idea.
That's when I started. It wasn't the shower of accolades, but it was
No, it
when he
wasn't.
truly proved his worth.
No, but I'm like, I don't want to go to fucking Home Depot and buy like copper tubing and then like, you know, like grind it. So I went on Amazon and I found 17 millimeter leather hole punch. And I'm like, that looks like it could work, right? I got it. It fucking worked. And then I tagged him. I'm like, yo, I just cheeseburgered this idea from High School Creations, right? That's where I got it from. This shit works. And then we just started going back and forth there. And it's just like, it's like that one friend that you have where you have that crazy idea. You're like, fuck it, yeah, let's roll with it. And then you go and do it. You're just flying off a cliff or some shit, man. That's Mike. Like he's down, he's my ride or die and shit. And it's not only just sharing ideas and like, oh, I think that'll work, but it's like getting you through the whole like, I'm done with building. Fuck this shit. I suck. He's like,
Mm.
oh, you're good, and I'll be there for him too. So that's where our chemistry comes from. Is just like constantly really just talking to each other and just spitballing ideas and asking for feedback and what his thoughts are on something I'm working on or vice versa. And the fact that we shared a fucking churro at Disneyland too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you guys share the steak at Hall's Chop House too? In the same way?
No, 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 no. That steak is too good to be shared, man. It is the best steak I've ever had.
Oh man. Are there any more plans for more The Build?
Uh, you know, maybe,
Hot
man.
seat question.
If he comes back,
That's true. Yeah,
resurrects.
that's true. If the Lazarus Pit does its job, then maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the build was one of those. Man, I love the build so much for that intro. That fucking
It's so
intro is
good.
it's so hype, dude.
It's so good.
I love it. I had that idea for that intro, and I just like there's some things that I can tell Mike, and he's like, I need to visualize. He's like, I can't see it. I need to see it. Like I can't visualize it. And then I told Machu, and Machu's like, hold my beer. And
Yeah.
then he fucking put it together. I'm like, oh fuck, that's
Incredible.
exactly how I wanted it to be. So I love that intro. And the build was supposed to be so Mike and I do this thing we call it date night. We just
Okay.
pick a day and we just spitball ideas and talk about the shit that we're building and then we just go down this rabbit hole of other stuff and I'm like that's the show.
Hmm.
We'll do that. But now I think what we wanted to do is just we wanted to talk to some pretty big names, people that inspire us and shit, and bring them on the show. So I think once Mike is done with whatever he's doing, dying, I guess.
Yeah. Once these thoughts and prayers finally do their job.
Yeah, yeah, once he rises from the dead, we'll get back to that.
Oh man. I was going through your Instagram prepping for today's show, just seeing if I could find any like little nuggets. And the one thing I did notice is the super massive bump in quality around March and May of 2018 in your photos. What happened? Did you just start using a camera? They were like, did it shift from like, all right, this is more than just, like a point and shoot Instagram thing. Like, I want to start using a real camera. Like what was the thought process behind that?
I don't know. I'm going back. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know of any bump in quality. It's been the same shit quality.
No.
Oh, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I think dude, you know what's funny though? I shoot with the same camera that I started off with. I shoot with this like busted ass oh fuck. What is it? It's some Rebel, not a Rebel TI. Fuck, I don't know, but it's like this like entry level Canon
Hmm.
camera, dude. SL2? Does that sound right?
It makes sense.
But
I've shot with a 60D my entire life. I bought a
yeah.
60D when it was like brand new in 2012 or 2013, and I was like, "All right, if it's this expensive, this is my forever shit, I guess."
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. That camera was a gift, and I think I started like early on with the Nifty 50. Everyone had that lens, right?
Yeah.
But I think around that time I might have switched over to the 60 millimeter macro,
That
and
makes
that
sense.
shit is like, oh my god, it's such a good lens, you know. And I've I got an A7 III. I have other lenses that I can choose, but I still keep going back to that 60 mil macro. And I think the Canon, the color science is better than the A7 III.
Mhm.
But really, it's just I feel more comfortable shooting with that camera and lens. But I'm looking, and I think I can see that shift, and it's 2019 March.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what, the whole cinematography thing just
Ah,
kinda took over, you
that
know?
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm looking. Huh. You know where it really kicked up though?
Mhm.
Um, October.
Oh,
The one
really?
and only time that I, like, participated in October, 'cause I remember that's when it was, like, firing on all cylinders. I'm like, "Fuck." And it was, kinda like we were a few months into COVID and shit,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "I gotta get this out." So, but yeah, that's where it kinda just took off. And in Lightroom. I
Oh,
started learning
yeah.
Lightroom.
Sing, man.
That's what it is, man. That's it, because all this shit is, like, very vibrant,
Mm.
very saturated and shit too.
Yeah, Lightroom is, considered black magic to some of these ACBA old heads. They don't wanna mess with it.
Yeah, they don't yeah, I don't know, man.
Say it.
It
Say it with your
really
chest, Mario.
it, because the in-camera shots, they if you just it looks so flat compared to if you just adjust a few things in post, you
Mm.
know? Um And that what that is just color grading, right?
Yeah,
Like, you
that's it.
can't take a video, throw it up in Premiere, edit it, and then just ship it. You can't. You have to
No,
adjust
you
the
have to.
colors and shit.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it loses that cinematic vibe.
true.
Like right now, look at me. Compare my video to your video. My shit looks very flat right now.
Well, my
I don't
shit
have
is
a
terrible
lot of
too, don't
font
worry
or
about
anything.
it.
But, yeah, that's what it is, man. It's learning Lightroom and applying my, I guess, style,
Mhm.
flair to it?
Yeah, like you do have a very distinct type of style with your photography. Like and I really like that about everybody's photography, especially those who do take uh extra step makes it sound like the other guys don't take the extra step, but that choose to go into Lightroom to add just something a little extra to it and
Mhm.
whatnot. Like I think it's very interesting seeing everybody's different signatures of photography for
Yeah.
sure. Like how did you go about developing yours? Was it like was there something you were trying to emulate or anything like that? Or did you just find yourself, finding the steps along the way?
No, and I think it's one of those things, like, as an artist, like, in the very beginning, you're told, like, find an artist that you like, and straight up just fucking copy their shit, right? Until
Absolutely.
you develop your own style. Like, use it as a platform to, like, learn. And I think just, after years of just doing this, like, I started developing my own style. Like, there wasn't anything that I was, um, maybe consciously, like, trying to emulate,
Hmm.
I was just honestly just pushing sliders back and forth until what I thought
That's
looked
it.
really good, you
That's it,
know?
baby.
Like, the whole, um, cyberpunk, interest, like, if you look at that whole genre is just filled with, like, cinematic and moody lighting and very, like, vibrant colors and shit like that. And I think that's kinda like what I wanted my grid to look like.
Hmm.
Like, the 3 photos that I have tagged up there, there's a lot of, like, cyan and magenta infused into the photo. And I try, like, I have it right now. Like, look, I got some magenta right here,
There it
you know?
is.
So, and I think having, like, some sort of, like, I don't know, a color that you pick and just infuse it in all your shots, I mean, that could be considered a style, you
Hmm.
know? So I don't even really know what the style is, but like there's consistency to the photos that I take, and I think it's the colors that I choose.
Hell yeah, dude. So we've talked about the past, the present. What 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 are you excited for in the future, my friend? Do you have any specific plans that um that are in the think tank or that you're not holding too close to the vest that you want to share with people? Stuff to look out for, something you're excited to continue working on, like your painting or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really shared like my ideas because I'm at the point now like if I share something and if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna feel like a real piece of shit, you
It's
know?
true. Hey, you know what? My advice to you is it's gonna happen. so like just talk about it. I remember I the first time I ever talked about figure update was like 5 years ago, and I had that logo made for 5 years, and I didn't make an episode up until last year,
Oh
and I
god.
still haven't made a second one.
Um, dude, I've always wanted to like have my own like YouTube channel, and I think like that idea came from like the beginning of COVID, like
Hmm.
when we were all stuck at home. Like, oh, it's gonna be a Gunpla building channel or
Oh yeah,
something, right?
yeah. We talked
And
about
then
that when you were here.
yeah, dude, and then it morphed into like, now it'll be dioramas and shit. But I think what I've been doing lately is well, one, learning how to paint, right? Like miniatures, and I want to make like little dioramas, like just
Mm.
little single figure display pieces or something that tells a story. Film that shit and then just put it on YouTube.
Like a
That's what
Stubbson's
I want to
builds or
do.
whatever, right? Or something like
Yeah,
that.
like I don't know if you follow Boylai Hobby Time. He does shit
Probably,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I probably do.
I just think that stuff is, like, interesting, right? And you could it's just a little piece of art and you're done with it, right? Again, it's a smaller scale. You can cram a lot of details into that little and in my head, it should be a quicker build than, like, some grand 1/12 scale diorama.
Hmm.
But I have to learn how to paint before that. I mean, I think I'm making some progress, but
Don't
now I've
too
I've
hard on
I've
yourself. Those look
I've
fantastic.
gone down the rabbit hole of, like, well, shit, now I wanna be a miniature painter like
Yeah.
Sergio Calvo or some shit? So, I need to regain my focus, but, I think, yeah, and then I'd like to get back into, like, toy photography because that shit is really fun?
Oh, for sure. Do you find yourself struggling with time management and stuff like that when it comes to all this stuff? Would you say that that is like one of the largest obstacles in terms of like coming back and just doing all that stuff?
Yeah, dude, I feel like I have 0 time
Yeah.
now? Like, my kids are older now, and they can tell me that they want my attention and shit versus, like,
Mm.
when they were, like, younger, I could just, throw them in a room in front of a TV and, like, be okay and shit. They're getting in this shit now, and, I wanna put in that time with them too because
Oh yeah.
I don't wanna, like, wake up and they're, in their 20s and the only thing I have is, like, some cool
Miniatures.
dioramas and
Yeah.
shit, and I don't have any memories with them. So, it is hard to manage that time, and I was thinking, like, "Oh, I could throw an hour here or there," but man, like, as you know, like, once you start get it started, like, it's never gonna be an hour.
No, no, never
Like,
ever.
it probably takes, like, an hour to just sit around and wait for that idea to come to you, right? So, the way I've been able to manage kind of that whole thing is just, like, there are no deadlines, like, I don't have to fucking build something for anybody right now, like, I'll
Mm.
just go at my own pace? And, like, if I get to the YouTube channel, I get to it,
Hmm.
whenever I get to it. If not, fuck it, who cares, right?
That's true.
Um, and, like, these projects, there's always gonna be projects there as long as I can, like, for the painting, I've dedicated at least some like, an hour, maybe 30 minutes, like, as long as I can just apply some paint to the model, then I feel like I'm learning, and that's the only really, like, discipline that I have right now. The only commitment is to just learn painting?
Oh,
Everything else is kinda secondary.
I see. Yeah, I mean, like I feel that like you have one of those work ethics that like not only work ethics but fan bases, and you're part of a community that is fortunately very inviting to people taking long breaks and people taking their time and sharpening their craft, and then whenever they choose to come back, like the support will be there. So
Mhm.
I think not only you but like the entire community is very fortunate to be ingrained with such a community that's willing to just let you just take your time and do stuff.
Yeah, when I came back, I remember I hopped on, I wasn't even on, the live with Jay Hernandez. I was just in the chat,
Hmm.
and there were a few people who were like, "Yo, 796, we never forgot about you." I'm like, "Fuck, man, that's awesome," you know?
Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
It really is a a really incredible like inviting community for
yeah,
sure.
just go at your own pace, man. There's no rush, there's no finish line,
No
and I
rush at
think
all.
once you let go of that fear of, like, "I gotta get this shit out," like, then you can hit that flow state and let the art take over, you know?
Absolutely. 100%. So now that your kids are getting older, um, are any of their hobbies lining up with yours? Do you find yourself like kind of trying to not necessarily like push them in a certain direction, but are you trying to get them interested in stuff you are, or has that are you just totally okay with like them just not being into your shit at all?
I mean, well, Mason, yeah. So he's drawing now. He's really big into drawing, and he's been into like manga for
Hmm.
like the longest time, and not so much like collecting. Like he still needs to have like so whenever like Bandai will announce like a new Dragon Ball figure, I'm like, do we need this? And the answer is always yes. He's like, yes, we need that shit. I'm like, all right, cool. But like he has a few things that he collects. He's into Demon Slayer. The girls, however, I they're into, like, video games and shit. They don't
Hell yeah.
really in fact, they make fun of me
Yes.
for, like they're like they're like, "Daddy, why do you like waifus so much?" "Oh, we know why you like waifus, big boobs." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, you can't say that shit. So I feel like they make fun of, like, all the shit that I do, and they're really not into it, but, you know, they're girls, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what
They're
that
just
means either.
they're just talking mad shit.
That's true. Were you ever like into video games or anything like that or no?
When I was younger, I mean, obviously, like, the old school shit, like, you know, Nintendo, like, NES,
Hmm.
like, the Mega Man stuff, and then I do remember when PlayStation 1 came out, I was really into Xenogears, which is by far
Hell
the
yeah.
best JRPG ever made, best story ever made, um, and, like, into fighting games like Rival Schools,
Yes, Rival
uh
Schools. Best
dude,
fighting
Rival
game.
Schools is the shit,
The
man, we need
best.
figures,
The best.
um,
You want a
like,
waifu?
Tech
Let's get Tiffany, baby. How about
huh, what's that?
that? I'd say you want a waifu, let's get Tiffany, the
Dude,
cheerleader.
that's what I'm saying. Top top tier, baby. Top 5. Um, but yeah, I remember playing that a lot, like Tekken, and then oh, obviously Final Fantasy 7. And then I stopped because like, dude, like video games, unlike now, like we have PS5. I did play Cyberpunk.
Hmm.
It started off as just like some R&D. Like I needed to research and get inspiration, and then I just got sucked into playing that game. But dude, video games it's a time suck,
It
you
really
know? Like
is.
you may be spending hours, and I remember like playing Cyberpunk, I'd be there for like 3, 4 hours and I'd get up, I'm like, "What do I have to show for this?" Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing, dude.
It's
Um, yeah, so I'm not so much into video games. Like I'll play like Streets of Rage 4 just to kind of blow off some steam,
mm.
just beat up some baddies and shit. But no, I'm not sitting down and like playing like an RPG or anything.
It's crazy because video games used to be my life, like period. It was my life for like 2 decades almost, and
Mhm.
I got a job at GameStop really early. I was 15 when I started working at GameStop, and like I got into the mindset that like so you can check games out at GameStop. So I got into the mindset of like I got to play everything that comes out, um, because I wanted to just be like educated for
Right.
customers, excuse me, guests that come into our store.
There you go.
So like for the longest time, I mean like I enjoyed collecting like like retro video games and stuff like that too. And I enjoyed collecting like just any video game stuff. I really enjoyed collecting, but like for the longest time my life was just I had to play everything new. And then I finally quit GameStop. I want to say last year or year before last. I can't remember. And
Mm.
like ever since then, I've played practically nothing. And
Whoa.
it is the most like therapeutic thing to not have to care about like like I had like it was literally my job to like care about everything. So like
So how much more free time do you have now that you
oh, I
don't?
have none. You
Oh.
know this. I have no free time. But like I would have had much less free time. It's crazy because like now, like I mean, I'll still play video games. Like I played Breath of the Wild when it came out. Any Pokemon I'll play,
Mhm.
any stuff. But it's gotten to the point now where like when I start playing a video game, my wife will come up and like it's so crazy because she's like nostalgic for me playing video games.
Oh, shit.
So she'll come up and she's like, "Oh, you're playing a game?" She's like, "It's so nice that you're playing games again." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." It is pretty nice. But like yeah, now that Pokemon is like multiplayer, like my wife and I will play Pokemon and stuff
Nice.
together. So that stuff's cool. But it's so the whole reason I bring this up is like it's really cool that that like young women are like so much, I wouldn't say more into video games, but it's more like widely accepted now and
Yeah.
whatnot. Because like I remember like you know, when like I was a kid, like if like girls would like almost be afraid to admit that they played video games or
Yeah.
whatever. And like even my little sister, like it was just around that time when she would tell people that she played video games, and then people at like immediately she was just like every kid like in her class like had a crush, like, "Oh, you play video games? Like, oh shit, like dang, you gaming girl, that's crazy, like we should play sometime." And but like now it's just like super normal, which is like the most like wholesome shit on the face of the planet. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of like, well, streamers now. Like the
Yeah,
video
it's
game
true.
thing is like hot, dude. I told Mason, I'm like, yo, bro, you're just playing games online. You might as well stream that shit and make some income. You know, I'll pay for some of this shit, man.
Is that something he's like interested in, or he's just all like, it's just some shit my dad's trying to tell me to
Dude,
do?
I saw this reel. It was hilarious. I think it was like a Filipino podcast. They were talking about like, back in the day, like the way to get out was like be a nurse. And they're like, yeah, yeah. They're like, I wonder what it would be like nowadays. Like, what are we pushing on our kids? And it's like, yo, man, you haven't uploaded to YouTube in like a couple days, bro. And I'm like, fact, dude, because I'm always getting on Mason's case about like, yo, just start streaming this shit, man. Start a Twitch. He's really into video games. He plays with his buddies all the time, but like I don't think he has any desire to make additional like passive income. Uh,
So how old are your kids right now?
so Mason is 14. He'll be
Oh whoa.
15. Yeah, he's in high school, dude. We went to like an orientation. I was taking him like we were walking through the school, and I'm just like, fuck, I'm old, you know. But like my girls are God, they're gonna be 10 and then 8.
Oh wow.
So they're getting up there, man, and I'm getting up there too, you know. So
No, you're very young. You're very young, Mario. Don't worry about
I'm young in spirit, heart, not so much in the feet department, in the back department, you know. Fucking struggle. I was that guy at SDCC where I'm like, can we rest for a second, please? Can I just sit on this curb and shit?
it. Oh man. Yeah, at SDCC we were at oh my god. What's that booth that had like the blood sport figures? It's like brand
Oh, the
new.
syndicate,
Yes.
some
We were at
yeah,
Syndicate Toys, and we know like Fabi and I were just getting B-roll or whatever. And I noticed they had Dragon Slayer stuff.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh fuck." I was like, "This is so sick." This older gentleman comes up and he's all like, "Oh, you guys are fans of Dragon Slayer as well." And I was like, "Hell yeah, dude. Dragon Slayer is sick." He's like, "Yeah, I don't see a lot of younger people enjoying Dragon Slayer. It's very nice." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean like I'm like super into retro stuff, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And he was like, "What are you, like 40?" And I was like, what?
Wow.
and like, and like I didn't say that, but I was like, nah. I'm like 34. And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, I didn't expect anybody somebody your age to like Dragon Slayer. And I was like, how old do you think Dragon Slayer is? Like,
Yeah.
and then like as soon as he left, Fabio's like, wow, pretty rough getting pegged at 40.
Also, I feel like I might be offended that you reacted to 40 because I just turned 40 this year. So
Well, I like outwards, I did not react at all. I was like, oh no, 30, 34,
you're like,
whatever.
wow, who the fuck do you think I am? 796? Jesus. Dusty ass.
Dusty old bones full of green dust looking ass. You look
Yeah,
fantastic for 40, Mario. I'm not even gonna lie.
dude. So here, like, I get offended like whenever I look at my ID and shit. I'm like, damn, I can't believe I'm here already. Like, cause like, oh my god, like the reality check is like when I'm hanging out with like other parents and
Oh,
shit.
really?
Yeah, I'm like, am I supposed to be like that? Like, oh my god, man.
You know what's a
It's fucking it's rough, dude. It's rough, just having these boyish good looks at this age.
yeah, it's a big load to carry, huh? Do you ever like you got a salt and pepper thing going on as well? When did that start for you? Let's
Really
go.
do.
It's a beautiful salt and pepper.
Shit, man. I think in my 20s actually, because my
Mm,
dad is all gray, and I think it started early for him. I think I started noticing some grays in my like mid to late 20s,
mm-hmm.
and then in my like mid 30s, like that's when like people started roasting me about it. And then when the girl started talking back to me is when it just went full blown gray. So from like 2019 to now, it just fucking just gray. And then like the gray beard and shit too, which I don't mind, but I think like it kind of just accelerates,
Mm-hmm.
like because I'm looking at like I told you I rewatched my old videos and shit, and back it's significantly darker in those videos,
I feel that.
and like I went to my friend's like his daughter was turning 1, so I went and reconnected with some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and they're like, "Man, you look great, except for the gray hair. It's really come
No,
in." And I'm like, "Fuck," you know?
that's
So,
crazy.
I can't pass for, like, 25 anymore, with these grays.
Have you ever thought about dyeing it or no? Getting a little Rogaine for men?
No, I don't think so. Cause like, my hair is, like, too short, Like,
Mm,
I would dye it, and then, like, by next week, you would see, like, the
yeah,
gray roots and
you see
shit,
the roots. It's
Yeah,
crazy
so
because I I contemplate internally. I contemplated on like dying for a very long time, and I was like, should I? I don't know, but like it's always my wife. She's all like this, my ride or die, always in my corner, and she's like, I love the gray hair. It's my favorite thing about you. I was like, my hair?
what about all these toys?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on? You don't see this immaculate collection?
Dude, you know what, man? You posted that story when your first SDCC visit,
yeah.
and I'm like, I think I actually wrote you. I'm like, you've aged very well, my friend. And it's true, dude. And I think I don't know. I think like the distinguished like older with the salt and pepper, like I think it works. For guys like us at
True.
least. Um, I've heard that a lot. Like a lot of people like that look, and I look at I look at old pictures of myself, and I'm like, look at this egghead goober. Like what a nerd, man. I know I talk shit about myself like at this age, but I like this age.
hmm
Late 30s, 40.
Yeah,
Is
I'm looking forward to it. Quite
yeah.
honestly.
You
I
got you got a few years,
I
few good years left,
I can't wait. I can't wait for those to be memories as well.
dude. I don't know if you saw, but Augie had dyed his hair, and it's like jet black.
I
And
never
I'm
saw him
like,
before. Well,
I
I never paid attention to his hair before.
he did it on, like, I think it was one stream, it was gray, and then the next stream, it was, like, jet black, and I'm like, "Fuck, that kinda looks cool," you know, because he's still got, like, the gray beard and shit. So I don't know, maybe, like, as a gag, I would probably do that, but
You gotta try the
I don't know.
light first.
What's that?
You gotta try the light first. You can't go like all like Creed Bratton in The Office with the,
No, I think I'm gonna wait until, like, this all, like, gets, like, majority gray,
uh-huh.
and then I'll just go jet black.
You know what's
Or I
great?
could just go back to, like, frosted tips again.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, let's take it back to 2001 with that. Let's go.
Let's not.
Did you have frosted tips in
Yeah,
2001?
dude,
Let's go, me
and dude, those
too.
dude, I had oh god, this is gonna be so fucking embarrassing, but I had the frosted tips, and then I had the colored contacts,
Yo,
and, like
colored
and, like, a fucking
content.
Dragon Ball shirt, like, button down or something, like,
Dude,
fuck,
the drip
man.
is unreal. I bet, dude, you couldn't keep the women off you. Clawing at the door.
Yeah, dude. I had one, like, Filipino girl come up to me, and she's like, "You never told me your eyes were blue," and I'm like, "You never noticed."
You know, guess
Like,
you
I
never
didn't
noticed.
deny it, you know? Like, what an idiot. God, man, so embarrassing.
I begged my mom for frosted tips when I was in like the 8th grade. I begged my mom. And then the only thing she said, she would always say, "Why? So you look like a fisherman?" And I was like, "What does that mean?" And then like I went back home and like fishermen that like spend all their time in the sun, their hair is bleached. It gets
Oh,
sun
yeah.
bleached. And I was like, I mean,
Wow.
if yeah, I kind of want to look like a fucking fisherman, mom. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm gonna go to fisherman school now.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
I'll do it. Say I won't. I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, those pictures are somewhere buried deep,
Deep.
deep somewhere. I'm never gonna pull them out. So embarrassing, man. It's so fucking embarrassing.
Sometimes I pull out like crazy embarrassing photos just to remember what it was like. Like I
Just
have
to remember, like, at one point you thought this shit was cool.
yeah, I guess so. I remember like man, there's a video. Oh my god. There's a video of like me and my friends when we were in like the 7th grade, and it's there used to be this thing called, it was like a Logitech camera, but it was shaped like an old like film camera, like a
Oh my god.
32 millimeter. I can't remember what it was, but like an 8 millimeter camera. Um and it was just a webcam, a wireless, like a standalone webcam. The quality was of a webcam, and you
Uh-huh.
could go around filming stuff, and then you would take it into a suite that had like pre-baked like effects and like weird explosions and like lightning bolts and shit, and you could edit it. And that's where I learned how to edit videos. I was in the
Whoa.
7th grade. Me and my friends, of course, made Dragon Ball videos where they had like little fire flame effects, and I would make auras of ourselves. I would make auras of us just making like little flames and stuff like that. And like every year or every like couple of months, I'll send that in our group chat with my friend, and I'd be all like, "Look at us, look how far we've come."
That sounds fucking cool. Bro, you know what? I don't know if you can still get those assets, but you should incorporate those old assets into some of your new videos.
You know what's crazy? I actually found that software on eBay. I found the camera and the software on eBay. I bought this. This was like 2000. Oh man, I can't even remember. It was pre-pandemic, but it was before I went to the Philippines. So I can't even remember when that was. 2019,
Damn.
2018 maybe. But like I found all that, and I was going to do like a 15-year anniversary of my YouTube channel, and I had filmed like new shit with that camera, and
Oh my god.
I screen captured like the whole suite. I ran it in like a virtual machine because of course that piece of shit software doesn't run on anything like newer than like 2005. But like I have that footage like somewhere. But like yeah, that editing software like really like holds like a special place to me. Like just how terrible it is. It's all, you can't even trim clips. You can just
Oh my
you
god.
can just organize them where they were. So like this is another question I had. So like as a cinematographer and like somebody who likes to edit, what was like the first like editing suite you used and like how did you learn to edit?
I mean, I guess technically it was iMovie.
Okay.
Like that, like I said, that yeah, that Mother's Day one from 2019 was the first thing I edited, and
Oh
it was
wow.
shot on my phone and edited. Yeah, and then I just, you know me, in true fucking 796 fashion, just jump in the deep end. I signed up for, actually, my sister had bought me the Adobe Suite for my birthday,
Holy shit.
April of 2019. She's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I want this shit,"
What's
you
your
know?
birthday?
April 8th.
April 9th,
I
baby.
know, yeah. We've celebrated before, Pancho.
I know. I'm saying it for the viewers at home, my friend.
There you go.
Let's
Oh!
go.
But, yeah, and then I was just like, cause like, dude, it in my head, I was like, "Why continue to learn on iMovie
Mm,
or, like,
yeah.
Final Cut or so?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna go with, like, I would rather invest all that time learning in, like, the big shit, you know, the
Mhm.
Adobe stuff." And it was great, cause like, I learned so much just jumping headfirst, you know?
Yeah.
And again, it went back to like the whole ignorance thing. Like I didn't know some of the shit wasn't possible. So I just attempted it, you know, and it worked out, right? So being a little bit naive kind of helps in that creativity. But yeah, I jumped into fucking Premiere and I guess it wasn't like the hardest thing. Like, dude, fucking ZBrush is the hardest thing that I've had to learn, and I still don't get it. Like,
ZBrush is
Premiere Pro
impossible.
kind of just like clicked, you know. It makes sense. Everything's linear, you know.
Mhm.
Like the color grading was probably like the toughest thing to understand. But and I don't know. Like I look at like DaVinci. I'm like, I don't know how you guys fucking do it, you know. Like I considered getting into like Final Cut and like,
Mhm.
nah, I'll stick with the Adobe stuff, you know. So
Yeah, it's
actually, dude, fucking like phone apps are pretty good
they're
now. Like
insane.
Inkbot,
They're
they're fucking nuts, dude. I'm
absolutely
like, this is
insane.
crazy. They come with like transitions and shit. What? Why am I doing all this other shit?
Yeah, why am I manually baking transitions and
Yeah, dude.
creating them like in like my PC editing software when I could just get an app and do you know what's great? It's like the complete opposite of what it was like in like 2014. I remember when Instagram and toy photography was just really popping off and people and I would post like pictures that had like lightsabers in it or whatever and people would ask like, "Oh, what's the app?" Or I would post like photoshops I did
Mhm.
of just like other shit, not just toys. But they're like, "Oh, what app is that?" And I'm like, "It's Photoshop. It's not an app. It's not like you can press a button and
Yeah,
just do it." But like, literally, what it is now.
yeah, dude. And there's like, and it it's tough to admit, but there's like some fire content just made with those apps and shit now.
Yeah,
You know,
it's crazy.
it's
I
fucking it's a
and you
little
know what?
heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, and it that ties back to what we were talking about earlier, where a lot of these ACBA old heads are like so standoffish to Lightroom and stuff. I think the root of that is like a lot of people have spent so many years honing their craft and becoming like king of the hill of their own space with the
Mhm.
tools that they had that are accessible to them. They've fully mastered what they what the tools they have at the moment, but now there's a whole different set of tools and now they're back
Mhm.
like at the beginning of their journey and it's just hard to like put yourself back in that space, especially if you're like at the top of the hill already. But
Yeah.
I think all it's going to take for that stuff to change is a camera to come out where you can do it on the camera like like
Oh my
instant
god.
like and maybe not even call it like filters or whatever but have like onboard color correction.
Well, we already have that. It's called an iPhone.
That's true.
Your
It's very
fucking
true.
phone takes some crazy shit now, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh my god, dude. The future is and like, well, I don't even want to get into like this hot topic, but AI too and how that's going to influence
Oh yeah.
pretty much art. I mean, I know the controversy and shit, but like, dude, somebody's going to find a way to have it work right, you know, and not like fuck over the artist and shit. And it's
True.
going
Yeah.
to it's I don't want to say level the playing field, but I don't know. It's just going to be a little weird. We're all going to have to like rethink like how we approach art, you know.
True. I
But
think
I think we're years ahead from that.
Yeah, I think so
Away from
too.
that.
I
Yeah.
think as long as AI is used to enhance the skill set that we already have, then I think there's a good balance to be found for sure. Like I know
Mhm.
a lot of people, I think you too were making portraits with your figure photography. Didn't you try that at one point or no?
Dude, I had posted, I had taken a couple of my shots. So my buddy was like, "Oh shit, look what I'm doing." Like, I'm like, "Whoa, that's cool." And like, it's your initial reaction to like the new trend or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And he was showing me, I forgot what the app was called, but he has a lot of waifus too, and he's like throwing it through there. And it really only works with like waifu figures and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I'm like, "Oh, cool, I'm gonna try it." And what got me was like it took like so I had a digirama and I built a diorama and it's a diorama and a digirama. And when I threw it through that like AI filter app, it made the background seamless.
Mm.
And that's what really like fucked with my head. I'm like, oh shit. Cause you can still have your like figure photography, but if you incorporate like now the background actually looks like a background because like, dude, I mean, as toy photographers, we can look at it, the thing, and it's hard to like get fully immersed in the photo because like we know, oh, that's a digirama, we know that's a diorama and shit like that. But when I threw it through the app, I'm like, wow, this looks great. And it also was like kind of like just like I don't know, like it like when I threw it through the filter, I'm like, okay, that's exactly how I wanted it to be. Like it validated like my setup, right?
Mhm.
Like it looked like a background, but I posted that shit up. I was just like, "Hey, what do you guys think?" I took 3 of my photos, I ran it through the fucking filter, and I got so much shit for it. Like,
No.
and rightfully so. I mean, like, we have some artist friends, and
That's true. That's true. That's true.
they're really pissed and shit. They're like, "What the fuck, man? How can you support this shit?" I'm like, "I was just trying to have like a
I'm
dialogue.
I'm just trying to do
It's just
shit.
a filter." Yeah, like, "I'm sorry, man. I love you and I support you and shit, but I took it down because I did offend some people and whatever." But it let's have a conversation about it, like it's
Absolutely.
not going to go away. And the only thing you do is like try and find a way for it to work properly, where it's
Mm.
not fucking over artists and shit like that. But I am interested to see like where that technology goes. And I feel like some of that like hype has died out,
Yes. Mhm.
um, because like it was just all over the feed for a while. But like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it takes us, man.
Yeah, I had no idea that like I guess that stuff was just went completely over my head. I had no idea that so many people in the community felt so strongly about that. But like, obviously it makes sense now. Connecting the pieces for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a happy middle ground to be found, like a platform where artists submit their own stuff for training, but they get properly
Mhm.
compensated or anything like that. Um,
Right.
so there
Yeah.
definitely is a happy middle ground. But I think at the end of the day, people like you and I are just excited about the technology of it all, like,
Yeah.
and the possibilities of how it can help us, like, hone our
Here's my
crafts.
idea. Like building a diorama from like the images that you have in your head, your imagination, for me is tough, right? Like Mike is always telling me, he's like, you got to use references. You got to use references. I'm like, but what I want to make doesn't fucking exist. How can I like reference something, right? Unless I'm like, essentially what I'm doing is I'm like kit bashing like buildings or something in my head. Like I can use gameplay from Cyberpunk and recreate that, right? But like
Mhm.
most of the shit, it's just from my imagination. And I was thinking of using AI, like, okay, I could just type in a prompt of the shit that I have in my head, right? Put it in the generator, and then it spits back a fucking image of
Mhm.
me, or not of me, but of the shit that I had in my head. I'm like, okay, now I can build off of that,
Yeah,
right?
that's your reference. Mm.
Yeah. So it's like I need a reference, but I can't really like I can visualize it, but it's forever changing in my head. Let me just have some magical machine print it out, right? And I understand what it has to go through to print out that image. But that's how I was thinking about using AI to like
Mm.
make the ideas in my head tangible, and then I can make that image tangible, you know?
Yeah.
So
Makes sense.
a lot of mental gymnastics with
It's
the
true.
fucking explanation.
A lot of gray areas. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. Well, we are topping 3 hours. I cannot believe it's been
Oh
three
shit!
hours. Time flies, my friend. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I truly had no idea that it had been 3 hours. I was looking, and the last time I looked, it was rounding off 1 hour. Yeah, here we are at three.
The only reason why I know it's been 3 hours because I have to use the bathroom.
Oh no! All right, well let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Let people know what you're working on, where they can find you, and where they can see what you're working on.
Yeah, you can follow me on 796 Studios on Instagram. That's where I hang out the most. You can catch me every first Tuesday of the week on Chat Migos Assemble. That's on the Toy Migos channel. You can catch me every first Thursday of the month on Toying Around's channel, Unboxing Thursday, Enablers Edition, which is going to be, I believe, next week. When Mike resurrects from, we'll be back on the build. And I don't really know what I'm working on. I'm just kind of doing my own thing right now. So thank you.
Hell yeah, brother. It was an an honor and a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, dude. It was fun, man. I gotta make my way out there, and we gotta go to Halls for sure.
I cannot wait. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I dream of that steak nightly. I'm gonna run the outro and then I'm gonna pop back in, and then
All right.
we'll say our real goodbyes, the emotional ones. All right. Thank you everybody for catching the stream. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Mario and I out. See you guys later. Peace.
What's up, everyone? I'm 796.
On
I'm
Jeezy
Ron
proudly
and
presents.
this is Stupid!
On Jeezy proudly presents Super Articulated. With tonight's special guest, 796 Studios. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's show.